said that India responded in the same domain and in the same manner. That raises the question as to what India's objective is from the current military campaign. Because if we are responding in the same domain and in equal measure, then we could be giving control of the escalation ladder to the other side.
Exactly.
For example, we have positioned the Navy to carry out punitive strikes, but we haven't. We haven't employed our naval power, even though it's overwhelming in comparison to Pakistan's naval power. Are we waiting for Pakistan to first initiate naval hostilities before we respond? Again, I'm not sure, because I'm still not sure as to what our final objective is. I think General Panun is absolutely right that we need to punish Pakistan. We need to punish Pakistan in such a way that this ends Pakistan's reliance on proxy warfare. But then to impose deterrent costs on Pakistan, we should be willing to extend this low-intensity military campaign maybe until late autumn, maybe until winter, when weather conditions become more favorable for launching offensive ground operations to capture and hold enemy positions. So if Pakistan can sustain its low-intensity unconventional war for decades against India, the stronger India certainly can sustain a low-intensity military campaign until this winter. But I think so far, what we have seen is India's measured and calibrated reprisal strikes on military installations in Pakistan.
All right. Let's see how this plays out. We'll game it further because we're expecting, for want of a better phrase, more action later tonight. But I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll still be in conversation with General Panu as well as Professor Chelani, and also get our reporters from different locations as well. It's going to be the same press conference in an hour's time at 5:30. The MEA Foreign Secretary is going to be there. You're also going to have the two young women lady officers from the Army and the Air Force who will be briefing the media about what's happened in the last 24 hours. Quick break. We'll see you right on the other side in a moment.
Made one more threat against India. He has gone on to say, if no talks, then guns. This is what Khwaja Asif has said. He's been at the forefront of making inflammatory statements against India, but the Indian intelligence agencies see this only as a sign of desperation. It also depends on what side of the bed he wakes up in the morning, because some days he talks about stopping the escalation where it is, that if India stops, we will stop. Then another day he wakes up and threatens India with nuclear weapons. This is the same man who has, of course, gone on international media to accept that Pakistan was doing the dirty job of the US and the West for 30 years when it was funding, training and harboring terror groups inside its territory. My colleague Anand is also joining us to break this down further for us. How seriously are we to take Khwaja Asif?
Well, Bharat is not taking Khwaja Asif seriously because he's highly discredited himself by the comments that he's made. But there is a picture behind the picture. Khwaja Asif is worried about his political constituency, that is Sialkot. Sialkot has undergone some heavy pummeling and punishment, with the air defense systems reportedly also totally damaged because of Bharat's counter reaction to Pakistan's military strikes. What one needs to listen carefully when we listen to Khwaja Asif speak is, he says that we cannot afford to carry this on for long. He's trying to put words and project it in a way that Pakistan is at a position of strength, but in that line itself emerges Pakistan's vulnerability. Pakistan does not have the faculty, the funds, nor does it have the fortitude to be able to continue an intense engagement with Bharat. And that is something that is coming through from Khwaja Asif and his nervousness. So much so that he is contradicting himself within 12 hours of his interviews between one media platform to another. So that is the reason why, because the Pakistanis don't know what's hit them. The other part is that, being the defense minister of Pakistan, he's actually come across as clueless and quite literally kept in the dark by the military establishment. and that itself is there for us. So somewhere from the Indian think tank and the Indian government, the more Khwaja Asif speaks, the better for Bharat, because the more Pakistan gets exposed globally.
Absolutely. Ananda, we're getting an excerpt of his latest statement, I believe. Let's just play that out for our viewers.
डायरेक्ट टॉक्स नहीं होती इस वक्त हमारे एनएसएस की, हमारी गवर्नमेंट की और इंडिया की गवर्नमेंट की, और वो नहीं सुनते, तो फिर क्या अगली बात, अगर टेबल पे बात नहीं होती, तो क्या अगली बात बंदूक पे होगी, बंदूक के जरिए होगी?
जी बिल्कुल, that is the only option left to us.
दिनों में पाकिस्तान को फैसला करना होगा, घंटों में करना होगा, और वी स्टिल हैव द लग्जरी कि अच्छा एक दो हफ्ते और देख लेते हैं चीजें बने.
We do not have the luxury of waiting for days. मैंने plural इस्तेमाल किया. We do not have the luxury to wait. This patience will cost us. So we have to stop them right now in the tracks. कि ये चीज जो एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है. ये हमने 2-3 दिन देख लिया है कि डी एस्केलेशन की पॉसिबिलिटीज की जो उम्मीद लगाई थी, लेकिन ये डी एस्केलेट नहीं हो रहा. तो पाकिस्तान इज टेकिंग थिंग्स a bit a notch up now or further.
डायरेक्ट टॉक्स नहीं होती इस वक्त हमारे एनएसएस की, हमारी गवर्नमेंट की और इंडिया की.
All right, there you heard it. A bit of a leading question there, but the defense.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the heightened tensions between India and Pakistan. We are, without officially declaring so, for all practical purposes, in a state of war. The Board of Control for Cricket in India, the BCCI, has decided to suspend the remainder of the ongoing Tata IPL 2025 with immediate effect for 1 week. Further updates regarding the new schedule and the venues of the tournament will be announced in due course of time after a comprehensive assessment of the situation in consultation with relevant authorities and stakeholders. This was, of course, announced a short while back by Rajiv Shukla, who is part of the BCCI and someone who has been talking about this for a while. So they've decided to suspend the IPL for a week starting today. Let's listen in to some reactions coming through.
Mr. Dhumal, the BCCI and the IPL have taken the decision to suspend the IPL, but only for a week. Just give us a sense of why this decision was taken. What was the considerations?
See, given the situation as of now, we thought it appropriate that it doesn't make sense to have the tournament going on for a while. And as the situation unfolds in the coming days, accordingly we'll take a call.
So, initially the news was that you may be considering to suspend the entire remainder system, but you've chosen to only do it for a week. The reasons behind that?
That was just a speculative story. I don't know where it came from, but we were considering and we were discussing with all the stakeholders, and it was thought appropriate to suspend it for a week, assess the situation and then take a final call.
Right. And can I just get your mind on what is the possibility now after a week? You'll obviously watch the situation closely. If it doesn't improve, if there's escalation, then of course further calls to suspend it will be taken, right?
See, as of now, as you know, the entire country is focused on winning this war, and we want to show our solidarity with our armed forces, with our government. So that is the focus as of now. We are not considering anything else as of now. So we'll review the situation and accordingly take a call after discussing with all the stakeholders.
Any contingency plans on whether could be played outside India the remainder of the season or at limited number of venues, things that IPL has done in the past?
That has not been thought over as of now. So as the situation unfolds in the coming days, accordingly that call would be taken.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, I want to go across to this piece of breaking news. We're talking about the remnants of what happened last night in that 3-hour drone swarm. A part of a Pakistani drone is found in a place called Kishan-Ghat. This is in Jaisalmer in Rajasthan, where, of course, there was a swarm of drones a little late in the night yesterday. The entire area is now cordoned off. Army and civil defense are at the spot with the ambulance on standby. Anvit is now joining us. How do we know that this is part of a Pakistani drone?
Yeah, Zaka, see what we are being told by the locals and the authorities here, that it is part of a cell of a drone that is attached to the cell, and many such cells are attached to drone. But they are saying that when these cells fall off a drone, they might also explode, and that is the reason why you can see a military vehicle is here. They are here, deputed here since last night. You can also see civil defense people there, and right now, as you can see on your screen, there are sacks of sands which have been used to cover that part of cell that has fallen, and you can right now see the army and civil defense officials. You know, they have surrounded it. Attempts will be made to defuse it as well, what we are being told, but some confirmations and some permissions are awaited from the senior authorities, following which the diffusion it will be carried out. And civil defense people have been here since last night, and so have been the military personnel. They're keeping an eye. The entire area, because it's a residential area, it has entirely been cordoned off, and it is a residential area. You can see houses are there, and these houses have been vacated because it is being said that the cell that has fallen, if it explodes, it may cover an area of at least 40 to 50 meters. So all the houses in the proximity have been cleared. Ambulance is also on standby, and all the precautions are being taken that are required so that no injury happens when the cell explodes, or if any mishap takes place. So all the precautions are being taken, and what we are being told that some permissions are required, and after that the diffusion will be carried out.
We'll see how the story plays out. So the police there, preliminary inquiry into the parts of the drone or the debris of the drone indicate that it was actually a Pakistani drone. Well, it bolsters India's case to prove that what happened last night between 8 o'clock and 11:30 was a swarm of Pakistani drones that was sent to violate Indian airspace and attack India. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, but news and updates continue right on the other side. Now, there's been a lot of, fake news and disinformation and misinformation, especially last night in the aftermath of that drone swarm. All kinds of news were floating around in the internet, particularly on social media platforms like Twitter. We've been busting that. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the other side of this quick break.
स्मार्ट है।
Made one more threat against India. He has gone on to say, if no talks, then guns. This is what Khwaja Asif has said. He's been at the forefront of making inflammatory statements against India, but the Indian intelligence agencies see this only as a sign of desperation. It also depends on what side of the bed he wakes up in the morning, because some days he talks about stopping the escalation where it is, that if India stops, we will stop. Then another day he wakes up and threatens India with nuclear weapons. This is the same man who has, of course, gone on international media to accept that Pakistan was doing the dirty job of the US and the West for 30 years when it was funding, training and harboring terror groups inside its territory. My colleague Anand is also joining us to break this down further for us. How seriously are we to take Khwaja Asif?
Well, Bharat is not taking Khwaja Asif seriously because he's highly discredited himself by the comments that he's made. But there is a picture behind the picture. Khwaja Asif is worried about his political constituency, that is Sialkot. Sialkot has undergone some heavy pummeling and punishment, with the air defense systems reportedly also totally damaged because of Bharat's counter reaction to Pakistan's military strikes. What one needs to listen carefully when we listen to Khwaja Asif speak is, he says that we cannot afford to carry this on for long. He's trying to put words and project it in a way that Pakistan is at a position of strength, but in that line itself emerges Pakistan's vulnerability. Pakistan does not have the faculty, the funds, nor does it have the fortitude to be able to continue an intense engagement with Bharat. And that is something that is coming through from Khwaja Asif and his nervousness. So much so that he is contradicting himself within 12 hours of his interviews between one media platform to another. So that is the reason why, because the Pakistanis don't know what's hit them. The other part is that, being the defense minister of Pakistan, he's actually come across as clueless and quite literally kept in the dark by the military establishment. And that itself is there for us. So somewhere from the Indian think tank and the Indian government, the more Khwaja Asif speaks, the better for Bharat, because the more Pakistan gets exposed globally.
Absolutely. Ananda, we're getting an excerpt of his latest statement, I believe. Let's just play that out for our viewers.
डायरेक्ट टॉक्स नहीं होती इस वक्त हमारे एनएसएस की, हमारी गवर्नमेंट की और इंडिया की गवर्नमेंट की, और वो नहीं सुनते, तो फिर क्या अगली बात, अगर टेबल पे बात नहीं होती, तो क्या अगली बात बंदूक पे होगी, बंदूक के जरिए होगी?
जी बिल्कुल, that is the only option left to us.
दिनों में पाकिस्तान को फैसला करना होगा, घंटों में करना होगा, और वी स्टिल हैव द लग्जरी कि अच्छा एक दो हफ्ते और देख लेते हैं चीजें बने।
We do not have the luxury of waiting for days. मैंने plural इस्तेमाल किया. We do not have the luxury to wait. This patience will cost us. So we have to stop them right now in the tracks. कि ये चीज जो एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है. ये हमने 2-3 दिन देख लिया है कि डी एस्केलेशन की पॉसिबिलिटीज की जो उम्मीद लगाई थी, लेकिन ये डी एस्केलेट नहीं हो रहा. तो पाकिस्तान इज टेकिंग थिंग्स a bit a notch up now or further.
डायरेक्ट टॉक्स नहीं होती इस वक्त हमारे एनएसएस की, हमारी गवर्नमेंट की और इंडिया की.
All right, there you heard it. A bit of a leading question there, but the defense minister certainly approving what was asked, that if there are no direct talks, then there will be guns. In other ways, he's saying that Pakistan will lose its patience and escalate further, because he's painting it out to be that India is not de-escalating. But India has given them a route off this escalation ladder at every step. Thrice now. After the Pahalgam attack, India conducted very surgical strikes on terror camps, but Pakistan retaliated. Then we hit back only in retaliation, in proportion, but they tried their misadventure again last night. Air Marshal B.K. Pandey and Brigadier Vinod Datta both continue to be with us. Thank you for your patience, gentlemen. Brigadier Vinod Datta, how do you see this bravado from the Pakistani establishment? I mean, they've not won a single war with India. They possibly cannot sustain themselves in a conventional war with India even today, but the bravado is endless.
Yeah, I agree with you because this kind of pseudo confidence which they have, the kind of trust they have on false claims, the kind of destiny they have with having tall claims like even 65 and 71 war, 65.
Welcome back. In all of this fog of war, particularly what happened last night, there's been all kinds of fake news and misinformation and disinformation doing the rounds of social media. The Press Information Bureau of the Government of India has put out a fact-check unit on their social media handle on Twitter, which has been from time to time fact-checking and debunking dozens of such fake news, not just propagated by other Indian media stations, media channels and so on, but also Pakistani media and social media, as well as Chinese propaganda. Let me go across to my colleague Poonam, who has more details on this.
Right, Zaka. So like you've been pointing out, there have been several of these social media posts that have been doing the rounds. There's a narrative that's being built, all of which is false, is what the government has now come out and said. The PIB fact-checking machine is working overtime. Let me take you some of those tweets that have now been flagged as fake posts by the PIB, by the government of India. This one here is about a video which was put out. It claimed that this video was from Jammu and Kashmir over the last 48 hours, but the government has now come out and said that this is an old video. It's not even from India or from Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, this video is from Dhaka from February of this year and has nothing to do with what's transpiring in the conflict between India and Pakistan in the last couple of days. There's another video that was put out. There's another post that was shared. It was about a Sukhoi 30 that the Pakistani military had allegedly brought down. That was the post. That too is untrue. That is false and fake. That is what the government has come out and said. The Sukhoi 30 MKI of the Air Force crashed in 2014. That was the picture that was used in this particular post to claim that it was brought down by Pakistan. Again, a false claim that has been countered by India. Another tweet that we're talking about is a video that was doing the rounds. The video claimed that this was Pakistan launching its missiles, but that claim is completely false. and untrue. This is a video from a video game, is what PIB has now come out and said, that this has nothing to do with what the events that have transpired along the line of control or the international border in the last couple of days. This is part of a video game. This is not a multi-rocket launcher system, as this particular post had claimed. Now, these are certain videos and posts that are doing the rounds as far as the conflict is concerned. But amidst all of this, we're also seeing a kind of narrative between China, Pakistan and India. There's this one particular post that was shared by China Daily, which said that there were 3 Indian jets that had crashed 2 days ago in Kashmir. That too is completely false, is what PIB, the government of India, has now come out and said, that this image is from an earlier incident in 2019, has nothing to do with what we're witnessing in 2025. So the government of India is making it very clear that this kind of narrative building that is happening on social media, that has to be countered with facts, which is exactly what they're doing and which is what we're putting out for you here on CNN News 18 as well. It is time for a quick break though, but our coverage will continue.
आपके घर के खाने
made one more threat against India. He has gone on to say, if no talks, then guns. This is what Khwaja Asif has said. He's been at the forefront of making inflammatory statements against India, but the Indian intelligence agencies see this only as a sign of desperation. It also depends on what side of the bed he wakes up in the morning, because some days he talks about stopping the escalation where it is, that if India stops, we will stop. Then another day he wakes up and threatens India with nuclear weapons. This is the same man who has, of course, gone on international media to accept that Pakistan was doing the dirty job of the US and the West for 30 years when it was funding, training and harboring terror groups inside its territory. My colleague Anand is also joining us to break this down further for us. How seriously are we to take Khwaja Asif?
Well, Bharat is not taking Khwaja Asif seriously because he's highly discredited himself by the comments that he's made. But there is a picture behind the picture. Khwaja Asif is worried about his political consistency, constituency, that is Sialkot. Sialkot has undergone some heavy pummeling and punishment with the air defense systems, reportedly also totally damaged because of Bharat's counter reaction to Pakistan's military strikes. What one needs to listen carefully when we listen to Khwaja Asif speak is, he says that we cannot afford to carry this on for long. He's trying to put words and project it in a way that Pakistan is at a position of strength, but in that line itself emerges Pakistan's vulnerability. Pakistan does not have the faculty, the funds, nor does it have the fortitude to be able to continue an intense engagement with Bharat. And that is something that is coming through from Khwaja Asif and his nervousness. So much so that he is contradicting himself within 12 hours of his interviews between one media platform to another. So that is the reason why, because the Pakistanis don't know what's hit them. The other part is that being the defense minister of Pakistan, he's actually come across as clueless and quite literally kept in the dark by the military establishment. And that itself is there for us. So somewhere from the Indian think tank and the Indian government, the more Khwaja Asif speaks, the better for Bharat, because the more Pakistan gets exposed globally.
Absolutely. Ananda, we're getting an excerpt of his latest statement, I believe. Let's just play that out for our viewers.
डायरेक्ट टॉक्स नहीं होती इस वक्त हमारे एनएसएस की, हमारी गवर्नमेंट की और इंडिया की गवर्नमेंट की, और वो नहीं सुनते, तो फिर क्या अगली बात, अगर टेबल पे बात नहीं होती, तो क्या अगली बात बंदूक पे होगी, बंदूक के जरिए होगी?
जी बिल्कुल, that is the only option left to us.
दिनों में पाकिस्तान को फैसला करना होगा, घंटों में करना होगा, और वी स्टिल हैव द लग्जरी कि अच्छा 1-2 हफ्ते और देख लेते हैं चीजें बने.
We do not have the luxury of waiting for days. मैंने plural इस्तेमाल किया. We do not have the luxury to wait. This patience will cost us. So we have to stop them right now in the tracks. कि ये चीज जो acceptable नहीं है. ये हमने 2-3 दिन देख लिया है कि de-escalation की possibilities की जो उम्मीद लगाई थी, लेकिन ये de-escalate नहीं हो रहा. So Pakistan is taking things, a bit a notch up now or further.
डायरेक्ट टॉक्स नहीं होती इस वक्त हमारे एनएसएस की, हमारी गवर्नमेंट की और इंडिया की.
All right, there you heard it. A bit of a leading question there, but the defense minister certainly approving what was asked, that if there are no direct talks, then there will be.
All right, as we count down to the press conference by the Ministry of External Affairs, the Foreign Secretary, and the two young women officers from the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force, which happens at 5:30 every evening. We're counting down to that. This is what has happened over the last 24 hours. Last night, between 8 p.m. and 11:30 p.m., there was a swarm of drones across 24 cities, largely in northern India and western India, all the way from Jammu and Srinagar up in the north, up to Kutch in Gujarat, that was targeted in a swarm of drones that were sent over from the other side. The official Indian Army statement says, and this was released this morning, I guess we'll get an update in half an hour's time when the Foreign Secretary briefs the media. The official Indian Army statement says it was anywhere between 45 and 50 drones, but turns out that it could be much, much more than that. What the exact figure is, like I said, we're awaiting that press conference at 5:30. Almost all of it was thwarted by the air defense system that India has built, both indigenous as well as the imported one, the S-400, as well as the L-70s. We'll try and explain all of that to our viewers and more. My colleagues Anand Narasimhan and Rahul Shivshankar are here. But you want to do some, geeky boy toy stuff.
No, it's not the boy toy stuff, but it's what stopped these 500 drones. On an average, about 35 to 40 drones per location. There were 15 locations targeted, about 500 plus drones that have been pressed by the Pakistani military. So about 35 to 40 drones have been stopped. So look at it. The L-70 anti-aircraft gun was pressed into service, developed by Bofors, now produced in India. This is a 40mm gun modernized with radar, electro-optical sensors and also auto-tracking systems. It can fire 240 to 330 rounds per minute with a range of up to 4,000 meters. The L-70 excels in anti-drone warfare, and it also has the ability to try and saturate the object in the sky with predictive fire. So also it makes it very effective against swarm attacks. So this is called a mini swarm because the swarms can extend anywhere from 20 drones to about 200 drones at a stretch can be sent. So that is a possibility, but 35 to 40 is a swarm of drones. Then you have the Shilka. So this Shilka is a self-propelled system with about 4 23mm auto cannons. Now these are guided by radar in detecting targets up to 20 kilometers away, and it can unleash about 4,000 rounds per minute and has been upgraded with the proximity fuse ammunition and advanced fire control systems to tackle small drones also. And the Shilka's rapid fire and radar precision make it lethal for unmanned aerial vehicles, helicopters and also LAVs. And they can also try and that is light armored vehicles. Now last resort is for protection of sensitive targets. That's where Shilka comes into place. Then we have the scaling up, that is the S-400s and the MRAMs and all of that come into place. So these have all put together. The biggest aspect, Rahul, is that there is an integrated air defense system where there are resources with the army and also with the Air Force that have worked in coordination. Otherwise, to tackle 500 drones across 15 locations, in the recent past, we never thought we could do it. Today, we are at a position where we have shown we can do it.
So why is that the case? The case is because you have a leadership that has a vision, and that vision was backed by a certain degree of resource commitment and foresight. So there was strategic foresight, resource commitment, and you have to actually commend the NDA under Prime Minister Narendra Modi for having both the strategic foresight and of course the vision to and the resource to the commitment.
You're
really
talking
to
about
resource.
PM Modi, and there's news around Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He's in the thick of all the action. He's not a person. He's not a Prime Minister who's certainly gayab any long. Nobody can ever say that. He's spoken with the Punjab Chief Minister and also the Rajasthan Chief Minister Bhajan Lal about the current situation, preparedness, and also planning amidst the tense situation at the borders. Let's try and go across to Arun Dhanta joining us with more details. Yes, Arun.
That's right, Anand. Prime Minister Modi is very closely monitoring the situation in the last 2-3 days, and in that regard, he has spoken, as per our sources, to the chief ministers of Rajasthan, Gujarat, Punjab, and Jammu and Kashmir. That's what our sources are telling us at this point, and he in fact took stock of the preparedness of these border states and the planning of the state government, and also, of course, about the current situation. And also, Prime Minister Modi took the stock of the adequate steps which the state governments are taking to ensure the safety and security of the citizens, especially the sensitive border areas in these states.
Well, thank you for that update, Arun. Viewers, it's about 29 minutes. In about 29 minutes, that press conference will get underway. My question to my colleagues here, Rahul and Zaka, is a lot of viewers are wondering this. People are wondering what's happening. How far, how much is this going to scale up?
I just want to finish that point I was making about how we actually managed to thwart. And the technology, the basket of technology, the entire package was put together in the last, I'm not saying that every element of it, but certainly there was a lot of indigenous manufacturing that has gone on. The Akash has become pretty much indigenous. It's the backbone of this air defense system. You have the S-400s that were purchased. There were a lot of people who were actually very skeptical about this particular platform. Many people opposed it. There was a lot of pressure from America on the Prime Minister. He sort of stood his ground there. Of course, the army, the forces have to be complemented. They are the front line. They are the ones who execute. But the vision, the strategic vision, the foresight, the resource commitment, all, of course, goes back to the executive, the person in power. He's created, actually, this entire Iron Dome out of nothing. And one has to actually come to the table and say, look, yes, I think Narendra Modi built up to this point. Perhaps, therefore, we can do the things we are doing today. We've also visibly attacked in Pakistan. Now, to answer your question, visibly attacked inside Pakistan, but stuck right now. We don't know what's going to be told to us at 5:30, but certainly on the evidence of the pictures that we have seen, we have struck terror targets and basically shaken up the entire terror infrastructure and the ecosystem in Pakistan.
We've also shocked the Pakistan army.
We've shocked the army.
They never thought that we're going to do this, and we've shown that we can, and we'll do it better than them.
We've built up this, to use this phrase that we are always using, ramp. We've actually ramped up our ability to strike cross-border, and we've done so. Now, I don't believe, look, there are a lot of people who are talking about de-escalation, dialogue. I don't believe that is the way forward. You have a bit of a strategic advantage right now. If you have to impose deterrence, it's not going to be through de-escalation and dialogue. It'll be seen as it'll be seen as weakness.
There's an interesting thesis, and Professor Chalani, who we're all familiar with, who was on the show last hour, he had an interesting thesis to this. So a lot of people are saying there's this strategic window that India has where you go in and you impose costs so that it can, act as a deterrent for a period of time. It'll discourage the Pakistani state, the Pakistani military from using these proxies. So he believes that there is this window. The only problem is that, look, India, every step of the way, including on the night, the morning after Operation Sindoor, also yesterday, if you heard the Foreign Secretary's words, India has been very, very clear. India is not the one who's climbing the escalation ladder. India is taking responsive measures because Pakistan is choosing to escalate. Now, two things are happening here. One, the ability or the person who then exits the escalation ladder is not India. At least the onus is not on India. The onus is on Pakistan because it's Pakistan who's climbing the escalation ladder. That's what, if you believe what the Foreign Secretary is saying, our steps are non-escalatory. Our steps are retaliatory in response to Pakistan.
So when we see the Prime Minister speaking to the various states, when we see Delhi, central Delhi, testing its sirens, it's not that the war is coming closer to our doorstep or it's spreading across the board. It's in anticipation that the person who's at the helm of all of this over across the border, Asim Munir, his ego is so bloated and he's so far down that road where he's the point of no return. Unless he has a win to score to go back to his constituency, his position itself becomes untenable because he is surrounded by nothing but failures. Balochistan failure, Jafar Express huge embarrassment, Pakhtunistan failure, Sindh failure, POK failure, and his ability to deal with the Americans failure. Now with Bharat, this entire post-Pahalgam Operation Sindoor failure from the Pakistan point of view because 9 targets hit with precision. Failure on the 7th of May in the night because no targets in, no military installations hit. In fact, the Lahore air defense system was neutralized. And on the night of 8th, again 500 drones set, nothing lands on target, and we've gone ahead inside and targeted 15 locations, of which 12 we've actually hit those targets across Sialkot, Karachi, Rawalpindi and so many other locations which perhaps they will tell us. So at all points in time, it's all crumbling down for him.
Here's the
and
thing.
he's a desperate man.
Here's the thing. I agree with everything that you've said. The problem then is you cannot, maybe they're doing it for public consumption. You cannot on the face of it to the public say that, look, we are not escalating. We are only responding to the escalation that the other party is taking. We urge them not to escalate. And at the same time, you're not giving him an off-ramp. So be very clear about the objective. One second, let me finish. The objective of this operation that India has undertaken on day one was we've hit limited targets. We wanted to go after the terror infrastructure. We've done that. No military, no civilian, no escalatory, right? And then we're backing off. But the other party has chosen to escalate. Now you have to respond to that escalation.
Correct.
Now, the problem with that is you do not control the various rungs of the escalation ladder. It's the other party who's controlling the various rungs of the escalation ladder. And that is not something that you want to do when you're trying to do what Rahul has said. Take advantage of the strategic window.
That's the reason why there is a certain preparedness that the entire civilian population is being asked to go through across these 244
but that
districts.
Is defensive.
No, it's
that
not.
Is defensive.
You have to have. You can have an offensive posture there, but you have to be able to protect civilian lives and also carry the nation together. It did not happen during the Kargil conflict because both sides said that we limit it only to this extent. We not spread it further. The theatre of action was already defined. It did not happen with Balakot. Again, there was a limited theatre of action. Here the theatre of play has spread across the entire western border, and Pakistan will say we spread it, in the sense India spread it, because we targeted from Muzaffarabad all the way into Bahawalpur. So that's the give and go. So we've got to realize that, and as a nation we've got to support the government and say, all right, let's be prepared. So there is some preparedness, there's preparedness, that's all it is.
So I want to add to that point. Why should we act in haste?
Yeah,
they've thrown a lot of stuff at us. Do they dictate the timing of our response? No, we dictate the timing of our response. So if Pakistan has hit our military targets or made an attempt to hit them, or even certain strategic assets, then we've already established the baseline.
Correct.
They've come over, they've tried to do it. Now we have to choose the moment of our response. And if you've noticed, what is the Prime Minister doing? He's meeting a large number of people from different states. All the chief ministers have been already spoken to. You have the Home Minister who's talking to the CIFS. You have the Home Minister who's talking to the BSF. We are readying ourselves for the long haul.
Yeah.
This is not a 1 day, 2 day, 5 day, tick, 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 tick. That suits Pakistan actually. A shorter, quick escalation suits Pakistan. Sweating it out, waiting, letting the pressure, burning resources doesn't suit Pakistan. So if we have the stamina, that's the unknown question. If we have the stamina, we can actually attenuate them. And yesterday in that all-party meeting, a question was actually put: do we have the ammo? Do we have the legs, etc., etc.? And Rijiju said, of course, we have it all. We've been building up to this moment. We also have our supplies. A lot of them are indigenous. We're not going to talk about where these things are made, who's making them, but we are quietly
there is a supply line, there is a strength, and there is also there is a stern resolve, but more importantly, there are deep pockets. Bharat can afford for it to be a long drawn game. Pakistanis can't. Now, this is where personally I would like to give credit to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his vision or thought process, because 12 years ago, Zaka, you, me, all of us were in this profession at that time too, when the defense minister of the country comes and says, sorry, I cannot add to my squadrons because I have no money. Sorry, we can't buy more because we have no money. In 12 years, we've turned around to a place that ahead of this entire possible assault and possible strike, there is a 60,000 crore deal that's been signed for additional aircraft to be bought. 3 months before this has come to pass, there is a deal that has been signed to increase our naval fleet by submarines. There is a Scorpion deal that's happened. So over the last 2-3 years, close to about 1.5 lakh crore rupees, or if not more, deals have been signed. Where does this money come from when there was no money in the pocket in 12 years? That is a certain level of leadership, a certain level of governance, and a certain level of vision that the Prime Minister has shown, and credit is due there. This time, the difference between Balakot and now, and I'll come to you, Zaka, on that, is that this time it is a whole of government approach. When we say whole of government, all parties are being briefed. All states, whether in government or ruling party or opposition, are taken on board. Every single person is aware why we are doing it, what we are doing, and the objective is clear. It is to avenge Pahalgam and it is a war on terror. Now I'm ready to fight this war. It's a long battle. I will fight it. It's a short one. I'll fight it. But it's a war on terror.
I disagree with the hypothesis that Rahul put. I think it doesn't suit India to be in a long protracted war with Pakistan. There's a very simple reason for it. We are at an economic inflection point. We have much more to lose economically than Pakistan. Look, I think where we are getting all of this wrong is the Pakistan army does not think like a regular army. They are thinking like guerrillas. And what guerrillas need to do is to try 10 different times, but they need to be successful just once. And that's what they did with Pahalgam. Now that India has responded, Munir needs to show something back to the Pakistani people that, look, I've also got a win. Now, what that win is, what that off-ramp is, I don't know, because none presents itself now. There was one on the day after, the day that the operation concluded, there was an off-ramp. He chose not to take it. But anyway, I'm not going into that. I'm making the very simple point that I don't think it is in India's interest to have a 6-month war. Because in 6 months, what are foreign investors going to do? Already today, the markets have shut 1% down, right? One second, let me just finish. My point is, the economic stakes for India are much, much higher than it is for Pakistan. Pakistan today is going with a begging bowl to the IMF. They don't have money. But that is not fundamentally influencing the army's decision on how to proceed further.
Whatever Asim Muni's decision, I think somewhere the Indian think tank understands this, that we can last 60 days. They can't even last 6 days. So who's in a better position? Nobody wants a 6 months war here, or nobody wants an escalation or a long. But if that's how it is going to turn out, and if if that happens, that it's a little long drawn out, we are ready for a long drawn out confrontation. But the Pakistanis can't afford more than 4 days. They can't afford. So there is no question there of it becoming a 6 month thing. Maybe I should be allowed to rebut.
Yeah. The point is, the time is our strength. The costs that we are incurring, look, this is not a full-scale war, first of all. We haven't even begun. Okay, we haven't even begun. That was a large number of generals, etc., who we've been bringing on to our panels, were saying that we haven't even begun. We haven't even expended 1%, 0.1% of what we have. So it's not costing us in that sense. What I'm trying to say is that we pick our moments. We pick 2 weeks down the line, we pick another 3 weeks down the line. That's already a month and a half. We do something here, we do something there. These guys have to be in a state of maximum alert. They have to be deployed. When I say these people, I'm talking about the Pakistanis. They have to be deployed. They're also being bled internally, as you know, and you made those references. They have no money. A short, quick, very, very visibly explosive, extremely perilous contest serves them, because they go running around the world and say, look man, this is a nuclear charged place, and you guys have to come in. So people will come in and they defeat our strategic objective. What is our strategic objective? Is to impose deterrence. We will not be able to impose deterrence if we don't go up significantly on that particular ladder over a period of time. It could also be kinetic. It could also be kinetic. It could be non-kinetic. Time is our strength. It could be 6 months down the line. We could suddenly strike them 6 months down the line.
It's not a
6 month. What is the objective? What is the
objective? Is to impose deterrence costs on sustained costs. Sustained costs on Pakistan. That's the fundamental.
It's not a continuous fight. And the other thing is, it's not a war against Pakistan state. It's not a war against Pakistan people. It's a war against Pak emanating terror. So every time now Pakistan realizes, the Pak military establishment realizes, if there is another terror attack, then the intensity of Bharat's response is not going to be.
And are we not losing people every day? We lose.
We have to be.
The level of the intensity will go up. Now, if there is a terror attack 30 days from now, then the punitive punishment will be on the 31st or the 32nd day.
Hang on. Through this, constant sort of niggling strategy that Pakistan relies upon, we're spending a lot of money. We have to have troops around the LOC constantly. We have to have vigilance. We have to have a lot of resource backing, deployment, constant deployment. You saw what happened with China. We were in a long, continuous.
The Chinese engagement is more a stare down.
It's a stare down. It's not a direct engagement. You had to deploy. That was costing you money every day, and it was in a remote area. So, look, let's
add that factor that despite having to deploy heavily, immensely along the LAC and to occupy those peaks over 2.5 years, there is a certain deterrence and there is a certain ability that's been built, and that's again further credit to the leadership and Prime Minister Modi. But in this case, what I'm trying, my limited point is, Bharat will escalate the rate and the intensity and go further in and become far more punitive if there is a terror strike. We had the update that a lot of the LOC shelling, lot of the cross-border shelling at the IB in Jammu Kashmir region was to try and push infiltrators to try and do something as a proxy on Indian soil. Now, if that happens, then Pakistan has committed harakiri, because that gives Bharat a free handle to go back and go further and really escalate the intensity to say that's my war on terror, because they have committed another act on terror and they have come from there.
Look,
so that's what it is. Now Pakistan has to say, I'll back off now. There's no off-ramp now for Pakistan.
No, 1 second. I'm making a very simple point. We have been stuck in this cycle of terror attack followed by punitive action, terror attack followed by punitive action for a while now, for a good 20-30 years. Now, my point is,
what punitive action have we taken before?
Uri was a punitive
now,
action.
Not 20,
Balakot was a punitive
after
action.
Kargil.
No, 1 second.
There has been no action.
We've had Operation Parakram. I mean, you've been around long enough, Rahul. You know that. For a year, we were on a standoff.
But that's fine.
I mean, didn't that cost money?
We didn't strike from all the visible information out there.
You think if we struck, we would have ended terror?
And look, we didn't suffer. Who suffered? Pakistan is gone from
an economy.
No, hang on. Pakistan over 25 years. Look at the numbers.
Who can afford it also?
Pakistan 25 years ago. 25 years ago. No, hang on. The per capita income. GDP per capita of Pakistan 25 years ago was almost at India's level. In fact, it was even more. Today, look at where they are.
Correct.
We have actually bled them dry economically, and why? Because they've had to spend a lot of money boosting their defense. We've gone up.
You are making the point that I was making, that at the end of the day we are economically at a much higher place than they are, and therefore we have much more to lose economically if this goes on for a protracted while. Now, look, there are only two things that can happen over the next immediate term. Let's say in the next few weeks. There's either of two things can happen. One, somehow there is this face-off that's going on, this back and forth that's going on for the next few days, and somewhere in this escalatory ladder, Munir gets an off-ramp and he says, okay, I've got this win, and we call it off for now. This is one option. The other option is that we choose not to give Munir that off-ramp, and I think India has made that decision not to give Munir that off-ramp. So then you climb the escalatory ladder one by one, to the point where it comes where from within the Pakistani establishment, and we've seen this in the past in Pakistan, somebody then turns around and says, this guy is taking us down the gutter, let's try and get rid of it. Now, my point is, are we today saying that is happening in Pakistan? I don't see any evidence of that. From whatever I see the civilian government currently in Pakistan probably one of the weakest in Pakistan's history. So in terms of who's the challenger to Munir, who is the savior of Pakistan? Imran Khan was the savior boy, right? 5 years ago. There is no Imran Khan today. He's in jail. He might still be the most popular politician.
Things change very quickly on the ground.
Of course it does.
Coups happen overnight. Look at Musharraf deposing Sharif. It happened within, even Musharraf didn't know. He knew. He was in Sri Lanka flying back.
Let's remember Pervez Musharraf or even Qamar Javed Bajwa or even Asim Munir when he was DG ISI, there was a certain unity within the armed forces. With Asim Munir, Faiz Hamid, thereafter, the rank and file are totally divided. There is a huge division within the Pakistani army, and there is a huge
Munir has gone after generals.
Correct. And there is a huge number of people who don't want this escalation because they know Pakistan can't afford it. See, Pakistan is only going to get further dismembered or further in disarray if this conflict or if this continues to escalate with Bharat. Bharat will lose, yes, but the bigger loss is going to be Pakistan because the shape of Pakistan will change if Asim Munir continues to go and the Pakistan military establishment allows Asim Munir to continue down this road. We got more news and we'll come back to this. CNN News 18 getting exclusive inside details of Jammu attack, Pakistan's attack in Jammu. Intelligence sources say that Pakistan attempted to target 40 places by drones. This was to test the entry and exit points of Indian defense system. Drones were sent by them without ammunition and small explosives were attached with them. Akash now joins us. Akash, so that first wave of drones that went across to try and multiple locations Was it to try and see where the placements are, where the defense systems are and where it is placed? And thereafter the projectiles came. So there was a probe and then there was the actual attempted incursion.
Yes, Anand, at least, agencies are suggesting like that because they are saying that maximum of these drones did not have any explosive. And in fact, this is the reason why they are anticipating another, attack this evening, because they are saying that yesterday they wanted to check our capabilities. And this is the reason why they attempted several places. In fact, multiple cities of the northern and western India, including Leh, including Gujarat, and locations like Bhuj. But many of these drones did not have explosives. Yes, rockets and missiles also came. But then there is a feeling that they wanted to just check the capabilities, and that's why they sent these empty drones. Now agencies are saying that once again they can attempt, and in fact the same locations with explosives, because now they know that we can engage a certain sort of drone, or what is the kind of technology we have employed. But then there is a surprise element as well, and agencies say that they have not yet revealed as to what they employed to engage these threats.
Right. So what Akash is trying to say is that the first set of drones that came did not have too much of munition, but the drones were sent across locations just to see where the defense systems were coming. After which the Chinese guided missiles and some of those loitering munitions were sent across. But there was another backup, or there was the next level that was ready to even intercept those. And that's what perhaps took the Pakistanis by surprise. So you send a probe just to see kaun kahan pe hai, and then you send the next to see if that can be done. So that was what was attempted. That is some satellite, that footage. Those are visuals of drone being shot down. Around 500 drones were launched towards Indian positions by Pakistan Army last night, which was sighted at 24 locations from Siachen base camp in Ladakh to the Kutch area in Gujarat. Around 50 of these drones were destroyed by the air defense guns, while 20 were brought down through soft kills. Most of the drones were unarmed. Now this is surprising. They were cheap drones. They were
unarmed. They didn't have any explosives. So the intent was not necessarily to inflict damage. The intent was
to see where they are placed.
Where they are placed, and suppression of enemy air defense systems, SEADs. That's the military term for it. That's what Wing Commander Augustin Vinod yesterday said. It's SEADs, and then there is DEADS, which is the destruction of the enemy air defense system. I think yesterday was a probing mission. So again, I keep going back to this. So yesterday was the first step in the escalatory ladder. They've sent this swarm of drones all the way from Jammu and Srinagar all the way down to Kutch, all across the Western Front. The next step would be sending drones that have explosives with the intention of causing damage, right? So then you climb. The next step after that would be projectiles and short-range missiles. And the third step after that would be scrambling your jets. So my point is, we're now locked in this escalatory ladder. Only two things can get us off that escalatory ladder. Either Pakistan and General Munir gets a face saver and exits, or India decides that it's not Pakistan who gets to decide how to escalate and when to escalate and which step to escalate. India then turns the tables on Pakistan and decides that we are the ones who are going to escalate. I don't see that happening
I think that flip is one misadventure by the Pakistanis away. The flip or change in position from Bharat is one misadventure by the Pakistanis away. That's one. The other thing is, from Bharat's point of view, it's not a war against the Pakistani military. It's a war against terror. Now, as long as that terror exists and Pakistan doesn't back off from that and actually uses the entire might of the state to back those jihadis, this war is on. It's not ending anytime soon. Islamabad update: Saudi Minister for State for Foreign Affairs Adel Zubair has arrived in Pakistan on an official visit. He is expected to hold discussions on the ongoing tensions between Pakistan and India, and during his visit the Saudi Minister of State will meet with Pakistan's top leadership. Adel Zubair arrived in Pakistan after completing his visit to India. So the Iranians go to Pakistan and then come to India. The Saudis come to India and then go to Pakistan. What's going on there?
Look, I think the Saudis are playing a very important role. Clearly, yesterday he met with External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar. I believe he's also met with the leadership. Definitely, there is a message that has gone from the top leadership here in India through him to the top leadership in Pakistan. The other problem, and Rahul, you can weigh in on this, is that we're not talking. We're certainly not talking at the levels of the NSAs. We're not talking directly at the levels of the foreign ministers. We're certainly not talking at the levels of the two prime ministers. If the intention is to de-escalate by either party, then we should be engaging with the other side, because the
So the
point of
Pakistanis have to
mediation,
pick up the phone and
the
talk.
point of mediation, like for example, what Vance said. I think this is the first time that the Americans, I've been covering foreign affairs for a very long time. Ultimately, what brought Kargil war to an end? It was Bill Clinton who intervened and said, okay, let's back off from the brink. What stopped India from going full throttle after 26/11, other than the political leadership sort of vacillating? There was also conversations that the Americans had with the political leadership at that time. Even in 2019, when Balakot happened, it's been documented in Mike Pompeo's book. He had multiple conversations with Sushma Swaraj, and it sort of pulled both sides back from the brink, which, by the way, was also the Trump administration. This time around, and I'm quite surprised by what Vice President Vance said and what President Trump said earlier, that look, it's not our problem, it's up to Pakistan and India to figure it out. You could read it in two ways. One, we don't care, it's their war, they've been fighting for thousands of years, let them figure it out. Or the second is that if India chooses to escalate further, maybe the Americans will look the other way.
Yeah.
So it depends on how you want to read
Yeah,
it.
well, see, the onus now, I think the person who's got to pick up the phone is Shahbaz Sharif. There's nobody else, or it is Asim Munir. So in this case, Asim Munir's position is untenable as far as Pakistanis are concerned. Any more terrorists and jihadis operating out of Pakistan is untenable as far as Bharat is concerned. So this is where the current situation is.
Actually, Anand, I slightly differ with you on this one point. Look, if you have to enforce deterrence, you have to go after the mindset. These terrorists that we're eliminating are expendables. They read out of a book, a playbook. That playbook is presented by people who are in the deep state of Pakistan, the ISI, the army. Till you don't impose costs on the army, they'll just find a new set of actors, they'll build a new mosque or a new camp, and they'll send these people across. So if you don't go to the root of the problem, you're going to be constantly shellacked. You're going to be constantly harried. You're going to be constantly bled. So I think if you have to impose deterrence, remember what the Prime Minister says, unimaginable punishment. Okay? On whom? Not just the terrorists, but their backers. He didn't name anybody. He didn't name the state of Pakistan. But look at what's happening. Over a period of the last 24 hours, several of our diplomats are not just talking to other diplomats. They are for the first time, and I haven't seen this in a while, okay, going into studios of Western media, and what are they saying? They are linking Pakistan's state to terror.
Yeah, they're hyphenating Pakistan
so
with
they're
terror state.
hyphenating it to the state to terror. They're saying that this country as a whole supports, exports, and worse, nurtures terror. And they have taken several examples. Now, why are they doing this? Because they're creating the rationale for the actions that we are taking. The non-kinetic action of reducing water flow, suspending the treaty is not against a terror group. It's against the whole state of Pakistan.
And it's a terror, the FATF, IMF, there's going to be a strong lobbying.
Precisely. So that is against the state.
There,
Now, how that translates into kinetic action, look, I'm not a military expert. I can't tell a P1 or PL or whatever from a Puljari, to be honest. Okay. So, I mean, those are, other people who've covered defense, etc. I'm not even going to go there. That's why I like people like you guys who know your armaments, you know your triggers from your whatever, and you can tell the difference between a crow and a drone. I can't tell the difference between any of these things. So I'm just saying the kinetic options have to be on the table. Now, whether you do it in quick succession, if Zaka thinks that is the best way, we'll get away with imposing quick costs and establishing deterrence. Well, those are calls that are probably being taken. Or you go for the long, let's hit them one after the other, find an excuse, bang here, bang there, keep them at this level, try them out.
Less than a minute to go for that briefing to get underway. Let's see if we have our reporters live there and we can get the live pictures from where the NMC, where this is going to be, the briefing is going to be. It should start in a bit. Let's see what the mindset is. And today, what Mr. Vikram Misri presents, that's the diplomatic point of view, because there is a diplomatic all-out. Like you said, there is a definition and a posture there to hyphenate terror with Pakistan and officially do it.
about
Officially
who
do
should
it.
be leading that briefing, by the way. There were two experts on our panel that were sort of got a problem with the civilian side leading that briefing. They said, no, the military should be in charge of that. So,
there can be a point of view, but in this case, I think it's a whole of government
Yes.
approach. The government is deciding. The NSA is the one at the helm of affairs because the intelligence is what allows you to go ahead and form your tactical formulations, and the NSA is spearheading it with his wisdom and with his understanding of this entire region. So that's another point, and it's all happening under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Who leads, who doesn't,
I would love to see a short video of the stage. Have they?
We'll see. I don't think the pictures. I don't think
have they not?
I don't think the pictures have started coming yet. The pictures should come in any
If
moment.
I can quickly just weigh in. I mean, I disagree
Yeah.
with Rahul. If you hear the exact words, and if we have the time, we can even play that out. Vinay Quatra, who is India's ambassador to the United States, went up on CNN. Wolf Blitzer was interviewing him, and he asked him specifically, is your war against Pakistan? And he said, no, we are not in a war against Pakistan. We're in a war against the terrorists. These were his exact words.
Yeah.
So it is. There you go. Can we play that out? Can we play the soundbite? Yeah, of what?
Yeah, and then we should also play what Vikram Doraiswamy said. So you have the Indian envoy to the UK and the Indian envoy to the US, so both sitting on interviews and both having.
Hang on. That is been done in a specific context, and the context is, why did you do this? Well, we did it to punish those actors.
So
but square that with the non-kinetic square that with the non-kinetic actions that you have taken. Those are not against terrorists.
See, here is the.
Those are to create disincentive against exporting terror, nurturing terror.
Here is the whole story. The war is against terror. Who are the, if the military is standing behind jihadis and giving jihadis a state funeral, the Pakistan state is. So then, who's the state?
Okay.
Doesn't Pakistan become a state backer?
So that is what the Prime Minister said. They're backers.
No, one second. Can you explain to me? And this was incredible. I was here at 2 in the morning, and the first thing that I saw was that statement by the ADG PI of the Indian Army. And when that sentence, I read that sentence, it popped out for me. It said, the target of Operation Sindoor was not military installations.
Yeah.
Why would the army say the target is not military installations? It's either a signaling to the Pakistani army that, look, we're not hitting you, or you're making that distinction. That statement made the distinction. That look, the military installations are something else, the terrorists are something else.
But Zaka,
they've made that distinction.
No, things evolved.
I'm not justifying that. I'm not disagreeing that there is an overlap. Of course there is an overlap.
Let us at no point forget that Operation Sindoor was retribution for the Pahalgam massacre.
Absolutely.
So the germination of Operation Sindoor is from an act of Pak-backed terror,
Yes.
terror that emanates from Pakistan. What changes the language of the diplomats is the pictures that speak 1,000 words. The pictures came on the 8th of May. The pictures of Hafiz Abdul Rauf leading the funeral prayer, the jihadis getting the pictures there, the jihadis getting a state funeral, and military officers standing in uniform behind that lot. That's the picture the diplomats have shown, and say now the position changes because Pakistan as state has decided that they will back jihadis, they will back terror groups and terror tanzeems.
I mean, why are they
They've
always been.
Why are they attacking us?
I'm not.
Why are they
We attack the terror infrastructure, and the
civilians?
Pakistan military is attacking our military installations. So they are the ones who are saying we are backing jihadis and jihadis are our soldiers.
It is the government of India that has made that distinction, and it is there in pen and paper.
It is there in
to give him an off ramp.
We said that, listen, have the sense, take the off ramp, my dear man.
But they
don't let your ego bloat you.
Okay, they're all there. Vikram Misri is there, Colonel Sophia Qureshi is there, and so is Wing Commander Vyomika Singh. The briefing is just about to get underway.
Do switch off your mobile phones before I begin. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to this press briefing by Foreign Secretary Shri Vikram Misri on the ongoing developments around Operation Sindoor. We are also joined by Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh. With that, I hand over the floor to Foreign Secretary. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Randeep. Namaskar, good afternoon. आप सबका स्वागत है. और मैं सबसे पहले अनुरोध करूंगा कर्नल सोफिया कुरैशी से कि वो आपको आज तड़के सवेरे से हुई घटनाओं से अवगत कराएं। कर्नल कुरैशी।
थैंक यू सर। नमस्कार। 8 से 9 मई 2025 की मध्य रात्रि को पाकिस्तानी सेना ने सैन्य बुनियादी ढांचे को निशाना बनाने के इरादे से पूरी पश्चिमी सेना पर भारतीय वायु क्षेत्र का कई बार उल्लंघन किया। यही नहीं बल्कि पाकिस्तानी सेना ने नियंत्रण रेखा पर भारी कैलिबर वाले हथियारों से गोलीबारी भी की। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमा और नियंत्रण रेखा पर लेह से लेकर सरक्रीक तक 36 स्थानों पर 300 से 400 लगभग ड्रोनों का इस्तेमाल घुसपैठ का प्रयास करने के लिए किया गया। भारतीय सशस्त्र बलों ने काइनेटिक व नॉन काइनेटिक साधनों का उपयोग करके इनमें से कई ड्रोन्स को मार गिराया। इतने बड़े पैमाने पर हवाई घुसपैठों का संभावित उद्देश्य वायु रक्षा प्रणालियों का परीक्षण करना और खुफिया जानकारी इकट्ठा करना था। ड्रोन के मलबे की फोरेंसिक जांच की जा रही है। प्रारंभिक रिपोर्ट्स से पता चलता है कि वे तुर्की के असीस गार्ड सोंगर ड्रोन्स हैं। इसके उपरांत रात में पाकिस्तान के एक सशस्त्र यूएवी ने भटिंडा सैन्य स्टेशन को निशाना बनाने की कोशिश भी की, जिसे पकड़ा गया और उसे निष्क्रिय कर दिया गया। पाकिस्तानी हमले के जवाब में पाकिस्तान में 4 हवाई रक्षा स्थलों पर सशस्त्र ड्रोन्स लॉन्च किए गए। इनमें से एक ड्रोन एडी रडार को नष्ट करने में सक्षम रहा। पाकिस्तान ने जम्मू कश्मीर के तंगधार, उरी, पुंछ, मेंढर, राजौरी, अखनूर और उधमपुर में भारी कैलिबर आर्टिलरी गन और सशस्त्र ड्रोन्स का उपयोग करके नियंत्रण रेखा के पार गोलीबारी भी की, जिसके परिणाम स्वरूप भारतीय सेना के कुछ जवान हताहत हुए और घायल हुए। भारतीय जवाबी कार्रवाई में पाकिस्तानी सेना को भी बड़ा नुकसान पहुंचाया गया। इसके अलावा पाकिस्तान का गैर जिम्मेदाराना व्यवहार फिर से सामने आया। 7 मई 2025 को रात 8:30 बजे एक असफल अकारण ड्रोन और मिसाइल हमला करने के बावजूद पाकिस्तान ने अपना नागरिक हवाई क्षेत्र बंद नहीं किया। पाकिस्तान अपने नागरिक विमानों को ढाल के रूप में इस्तेमाल कर रहा है, जबकि उसे अच्छी तरह से पता है कि भारत पर उसके हमले से हवाई रक्षा की तीव्र प्रतिक्रिया होगी। यह भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमा के पास उड़ान भरने वाले अंतर्राष्ट्रीय उड़ानों सहित नागरिक विमानों के लिए सुरक्षित नहीं है। यहाँ स्क्रीन शॉट में पंजाब सेक्टर में हाई एयर डिफेंस अलर्ट स्थिति के दौरान एप्लीकेशन फ्लाइट रडार 24 का डेटा दिखाया गया है। जैसा कि आप देख रहे हैं यहाँ पर भारतीय पक्ष का हवाई क्षेत्र घोषित बंद के कारण नागरिक हवाई यातायात से पूरी तरह से रहित है। कराची और लाहौर के बीच के हवाई अड्डे मार्ग पर नागरिक एयरलाइंस उड़ान भर रही है। हाईलाइट किया गया है विमान फ्लाइनेस एविएशन का एयरबस 320, जैसा कि आप यहाँ देख रहे हैं, जो कि शाम को 5:50 बजे दमम से शुरू हुआ और रात को 9:10 बजे लाहौर में उतरा। ये सारा डिटेल्स आप यहाँ देख रहे हैं। ये डिटेल्स यहाँ लिखा हुआ है। कैन यू सी दिस? भारतीय वायुसेना ने अपनी प्रतिक्रिया में काफी संयम दिखाया और इस प्रकार अंतर्राष्ट्रीय नागरिक विमान सेवा की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित की। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
Good afternoon to you all. On the intervening night of 8-9 May 2025, Pakistan military carry out multiple violations of Indian airspace along the entire western border with an intent to target military infrastructure. Pakistan military also resorted to firing of heavy caliber weapons along the line of control. Along the international border and line of control, drone intrusions were attempted from Leh to Sar Creek at 36 locations with approximately 300 to 400 drones. Indian Armed Forces brought down a number of these drones using kinetic and non-kinetic means. The possible purpose of these large-scale aerial intrusions were to test the AD systems and gather intelligence. Forensic examination of the drone debris is being undertaken. Preliminary reports suggest them to be of Aziz Guard Songa drone of Turkey. Later in the night, an armed UAV of Pakistan attempted to target Bhatinda military station, which was detected and neutralized. In response to the Pakistani attack, armed drones were launched at 4 air defense sites in Pakistan. One of the drones was able to destroy an AD radar. Pakistan also carried out artillery shelling across the line of control using heavy caliber artillery guns and armed drones at Sangdhar, Uri, Poonch, Mendhar, Rajouri, Akhnur and Udhampur in Jammu and Kashmir area, which resulted in some losses and injuries to Indian Army personnel. Pakistan Army also suffered major losses in Indian retaliatory fire. Additionally, Pakistan's irresponsible behavior again came to fore. Pakistan did not close its civil airspace despite it launching a failed unprovoked drone and missile attack on 7th May at 8:30 hours in the evening. Pakistan is using civil airliners as a shield, knowing fully well that its attack on India would elicit a swift air defense response. This is not safe for the unsuspecting civil airliners, including the international flights which were flying near IB between India and Pakistan. The screenshot we just showed and we shall share with you, it shows the data of the application Flight Radar 24 during a high air defense alert situation in the Punjab sector. As you have seen, the airspace on the Indian side is absolutely devoid of civil air traffic due to our declared closure. However, there are civil airlines flying the air route between Karachi and Lahore. Amongst the other civil aircraft that you can see, we have highlighted an aircraft which is Airbus 320 of Flynas Aviation, which was originated from Dammam at 1750 hours and landed later at Lahore at 2110 hours in the night. Indian Air Force demonstrated considerable restraint in its response, thus ensuring safety of international civil carriers.
Thank you, Colonel Qureshi, Wing Commander Singh. I have just a few points to share in addition. कल रात की पाकिस्तानी सेना की कायरतापूर्ण गतिविधियों से आपको कर्नल कुरैशी और विंग कमांडर सिंह ने पहले ही अवगत करा दिया गया है. These provocative and escalatory actions that were taken by Pakistan last night were targeted at Indian cities and civilian infrastructure, in addition to some military targets. The Indian Armed Forces responded proportionately, adequately and responsibly. ये जो हमले हुए कल रात को भारतीय सैन्य इकाइयों ने पर्याप्त रूप से और एक जिम्मेदाराना रुख अपनाते हुए इन हरकतों का उत्तर दिया. What I want to underline is that the official and blatantly farcical denial of these attacks that Pakistan carried out by the Pakistani state machinery is yet another example of their duplicity and the new depths that they are plumbing in their quest for disinformation. The other point in the same vein is Pakistani claims that they did not target or attack any religious places. You would recall that yesterday I shared with you an incident related to the attack on a Gurdwara in Poonch, Instead of owning up to these attacks, Pakistan made the preposterous and outrageous claim that it was the Indian Armed Forces and the Indian Air Force that was targeting cities like Amritsar and trying to put the blame on Pakistan. This is nothing but a desperate attempt by Pakistan to disown its acts of aggression, but it is also true to type in its effort to deceive and mislead the world. It will not succeed. The Gurdwara in Poonch in particular was attacked by Pakistan, and some local members of the Sikh community, including a Ragi of the Gurdwara, lost their lives in this incident, as I shared yesterday. TV पर आप इस हमले के चित्र देख सकते हैं. In addition, that we would attack our own cities is the kind of deranged fantasy that only the Pakistani state can come up with. Perhaps they do it because they are well versed in such action, as their history would show. The last point I wanted to make this evening is again this disinformation that is coming from Pakistan about India targeting the Nankana Sahib Gurdwara through a drone attack. This is again yet another blatant lie and part of Pakistan's disinformation campaign. As we saw in the Pahalgam attack, Pakistan is again trying desperately to impart a communal hue to the situation with an intention to create discord. Again, we are not surprised. India's steadfast unity in itself is a challenge to Pakistan. Let me stop there. I have time only for a few questions and be happy to try and answer them.
First, I call Siddharth. Siddharth, please. Hi, sir. I'm Siddharth from Beyond. So this is Siddharth, behind, please.
The other Siddharth.
Yes. Hi, sir. I'm Siddharth from CNN News 18. Sir, I only want to know from you the status of Kartarpur corridor. Is it open or not? You can.
I think you're all aware of the situation along the entire India-Pakistan border and the areas around the line of control. In view of the existing security scenario, the services of the Kartarpur Sahib corridor have been suspended till further directions. We'll update you as and when there is a change in the situation.
You have a question here, Rishabh? So, good evening, Rishabh from Times Now. So, you spoke about religious places being hit in Jammu. There's another religious place which is Caroline Nun church that has been hit. What do you have to say about it? If you can explain that.
Yeah, actually, we do have some information about this extremely regrettable and condemnable incident. During heavy shelling across the line of control in the early morning of 7th May, a shell fired from Pakistan landed just behind the Christ School run by the Carmelites of Mary Immaculate congregation in Poonch. Tragically, the shell fired from Pakistan hit the home of 2 students of the Christ School. Both students unfortunately lost their lives and their parents were severely injured. Another Pakistani shell struck a Christian convent of nuns belonging to the congregation of the Mother of Carmel, damaging water tanks and destroying solar panel infrastructure. Several priests, nuns, school staff and local residents took refuge in an underground hall beneath the Christ School during the shelling by Pakistan. The school happened to be closed at the time, fortunately. Otherwise, more losses would have occurred. Again, we have seen the Pakistani side targeting and shelling places of worship with a particular design. This includes gurdwaras, these convents and temples. This is a new low even for Pakistan.
Sir, Pranay Upadhyay, Amar Jasi. सर कल आपने इसी पोडियम से पाकिस्तान के आईएमएफ बेलआउट को लेकर और इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी को लेकर जो टिप्पणी की थी उसकी पाकिस्तान में काफी तीखी प्रतिक्रिया भी आई और उसके बाद हमने देखा कि पाकिस्तान की तरफ से किस तरीके से लेह से लेकर भुज तक पूरी बॉर्डर के ऊपर जो इन्वेजन था वो किया गया। मौजूदा सिचुएशन के अंदर पाकिस्तान के बेलआउट पैकेज को लेकर और पाकिस्तान के अटेम्प्ट्स को लेकर आपका क्या असेसमेंट है? और दूसरा ये भी जानना चाहेंगे कि पाकिस्तान की तरफ से ये जो अटेम्प्ट किया गया था उसका भारत ने अभी तक उस तरीके का कोई जवाब नहीं दिया गया है, तो क्या भारत इसका जवाब देगा जो कार्रवाई हुई है बीते 24 घंटों में?
देखिए प्रणय, जहाँ तक इंडस वाटर्स ट्रीटी का सवाल है, मैंने कल विस्तार से उसके बारे में इसकी चर्चा की है। इंडस वाटर्स ट्रीटी इज़ इन अबेयंस and as such I have nothing further to add to the decision that was announced by the cabinet committee on security. जहाँ तक IMF bailout का सवाल है, आपको ज्ञान होगा कि IMF की आज मीटिंग हो रही है। हम वहाँ पे अपना पक्ष रखेंगे और जो हमारा मत है इन चीज़ों को लेके वहाँ पे साझा करेंगे दूसरे मेंबर्स के साथ। ये बोर्ड पे निर्भर है कि वहाँ पे क्या निर्णय होता है। और जहाँ तक जो कार्रवाई हुई है उसका जवाब देने का जो आपने जो प्रश्न उठाया है, जो आज ब्रीफिंग हुई है, जो आपको सूचना मिली है, मैंने भी कहा है कि जो आज सवेरे तड़के सवेरे जो गतिविधियाँ हुई, भारत ने उनका एक जिम्मेदाराना पूर्ण तरीके से और एक पर्याप्त तरीके से उसका जवाब दे दिया है।
Hi sir, Siddhant from Beyond. Sir, the External Affairs Minister has spoken to many of his counterparts around the world. Yesterday he spoke to the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So what were the key areas of conversations during that call?
Yes, the minister had a conversation with the US Secretary of State. As you can imagine, the focus of discussions was the terrorist attack in Pahalgam and the response that India mounted after that on the 7th of May. The Secretary of State shared his thoughts on these developments with the minister. The minister deeply appreciated the US's commitment to work with India in the fight against terrorism, and he also underlined the targeted measures that India had taken in connection with Op Sindoor. The minister also underlined that India would firmly counter any attempts at escalation from there. But in follow-up to that, as you are aware, there have been a number of other conversations. The minister had a conversation with the UK Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, today. There too, the discussion centered around countering terrorism, for which there must be zero tolerance. And I understand just a short while ago, the External Affairs Minister has also spoken to the Foreign Minister of Norway, Espen Barth Eide, which was also focused on recent developments stemming from the terrorist act in Pahalgam.
One last question, Sudhi.
Sir, Foreign Secretary, thank you for doing this. Shri Ranjan from Bloomberg. Foreign Secretary, India had struck Bahawalpur the other day, which is also connected with the murder of one of us journalists, Daniel Pearl. If you could give us an understanding of what exactly are the reports that you're getting.
You're right. Bahawalpur is the headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist group that is proscribed by the United Nations. Its leader, Maulana Masood Azhar, is a proscribed individual. It is, you brought up the connection with the tragic death or killing of Daniel Pearl of the Wall Street Journal. The Jaish-e-Mohammed was in some way directly or indirectly responsible for the death of Daniel Pearl. But the real connection is through Ahmed Omar Saeed Sheikh, the British Pakistani jihadi who was held in India, but was finally released in 2000, and he was the person who lured Daniel Pearl to his eventually leading to his murder. So these are all obviously connected figures, connected individuals, connected institutions, and the attack on Bahawalpur, on that facility of the Jaish-e-Mohammed in Bahawalpur is, I would imagine, a fitting part of this unfortunate incident. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. With that, we come to the closure of this press briefing. Thank you very much.
So that was the MEA and the MOD press conference, once again not just detailing the action that was done by Pakistan last night and also the retaliation from the Indian side, but also of course talking about the farcical denial by Pakistan as far as that action is concerned. As many as 500 drones and missiles were fired into India military bases and others were attacked. My colleague Siddhant Mishra was at that press conference. Siddhant, India calling out the farcical denial by Pakistan as far as that attack is concerned last night, calling it their duplicity and also the attempts to foment communal strife in India.
Well, yes, that's absolutely right. In fact, that is exactly what Foreign Secretary said a short while back at a media briefing in New Delhi. And in fact, he said that what they are doing is that they are putting blame on India. Perhaps they're blaming India for attacking Indian cities. Perhaps they're saying that all is being done by India. But the fact is that there was an air intrusion yesterday, and in fact, Indian air defense systems very effectively brought down all the drones and missiles which were fired by the Pakistani side. And in fact, this was the third briefing that government of India did today in the national capital, perhaps giving out more details about Operation Sindoor. And in fact, there are indeed some tactical perhaps details which government does not want to talk about at this point in time because the operation is still on.
So Siddhant, if I have it correctly, the question about how India responded to Pakistan's escalation was asked. What was the response exactly on that question?
Well, as far as India's response is concerned, then Foreign Secretary also highlighted that how there has been a shelling on the religious places in the border areas. In fact, a Christian school was targeted. There is also other religious sites which have been targeted. In fact, the intention of Pakistan is to hit a communal chord. In fact, Foreign Secretary also called Pakistan's action provocative and escalatory in nature. And in fact, the official denial of Pakistan shows their duplicity. This is what Foreign Secretary said.
Just Siddhant, to stay with me, I've also got Akash Sharma joining us. Akash, of course, not much details as to India's retaliation that have come to light. If India has indeed attacked certain cities in Pakistan, of course we know that certain defense systems in Pakistan were targeted in a retaliatory manner, non-escalatory manner, but not much else details that have been given by the MOD or the MEA as of now.
So it is possibly because they are still anticipating some sort of attack once again, maybe because last night whatever we saw was maximum of these drones did not have any explosive. So possibly they are assuming that it was to check the capabilities, and once again we can have something coming from Pakistan, and that's the possibly the reason why they haven't revealed any sort of detail on our retaliation. But yes, we have confirmation from several sources that how India retaliated, and in fact several targets were there. I would leave it that because we will of course wait for the official confirmation. But 2-3 things, Shivani, that I want to highlight here. First one, that these drones were Turkey-made drones. Second one, that Indian Army jawans have got injured, and third one, that they were taking, in fact, they were using their civil airlines as shield.
Yes.
This is somewhere exposing Pakistan. They talk about professionalism, Shivani, and this is something that is exposing them. Flight radar data is somewhere showing that how at that point in time several flights were operated, and in fact were being operated from Lahore and from different other cities where they have the crucial air defense radars and structures. And at this point in time, what we have been told is that army jawans are also injured, which is for the first time that has come to light, because till now we were under an impression that it was nowhere they have hit our targets. But yes, their artillery came in fact to our territory. Not only it has hit our armed forces, the personnel, but civilians have also got injured, and possibly this is the artillery fire that Colonel Sophia Qureshi was talking about, that our army jawans are injured. We have been discussing about air defense, and we are talking about the air defense of Indian Army and Indian Air Force. And on that note, I'll try to show you the visuals. Shivani, I'm at Jammu airport, and this is the place from where this all got initiated yesterday. At around 8 p.m, this is the place. Rajesh ji will show you. This is the airport. At 8 p.m. yesterday, we saw that several drones were sent to the airport, and soon after that, the armed forces, specifically the Indian Air Force, that is basically taking care of the security of this particular Air Force particular airport at this point in time, came into action. In fact, CRPF and Jammu Kashmir Police and Indian Army are also there, and they reacted. AD guns were there. They started firing using AD guns and thwarted all those attempts. So all of when we talk about these 24 cities which were targeted, different military infrastructure and the locations, so none of these attacks were successful. But yes, their targets were predefined, and they knew that where we have our military installation. Of course, it's an age where everything is available on the internet. But then too, at this point in time, agencies are anticipating that they will come back because of the fact that maximum drones were without explosives, and possibly they were trying to check our capabilities. Indian Armed Forces are ready, and their operational readiness is at all-time high. Shivani.
Yes, absolutely. Not just that, not just the Indian Army or the operational readiness at the LOC or the IB, even inside the country, as far as internal preparedness is concerned, that is also at an all-time high, possibly for the first time since 1971. We will get you those details also in just a bit, but Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow, ORF, is also joining me. Sushant, laughable, farcical, duplicity and all of those words used by the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri to describe Pakistan's attempt at denying that they attempted anything.
Yeah, Shivani, they're quite shameless about it, and they've done it throughout their existence. This is a standard operating procedure on the Pakistani side. This is how they operate. So there's nothing new in that, I think. It was quite visible what they were trying to do last night. And for them to, at that point of time, deny that we are not doing anything across the border was possible. And the night before also, they had tried it all along the length and breadth of the border, and still they denied it the next day that we haven't done anything. One thing which is not clear, Shivani, I wish your correspondent, if he's still online, can address that. From what I heard in the press conference, it isn't quite clear whether the casualties of the soldiers was in the shelling or it was in the drone attacks that have taken place.
From what?
Number one.
Yes, go ahead. I'll try and get Akash back, but go ahead.
Yeah, and Akash says that people were injured, soldiers were injured. But from what the word I heard was hatahat, which means killed. So I wanted there's some clarification.
Okay, so wait a second. Let me just bring Akash. He's with me. Akash, can you clarify on that front? I believe you had talked about injuries as far as the Indian Army and the BSF is concerned. Do we know more? Are there any fatalities?
So I was talking about injuries only, and these injuries are because of the artillery fire that we have at the LOC and in fact, at the international border yesterday. Because as far as these drone attacks are concerned, so we have been given to understand that none of these was successful. Yes, Colonel Sophia was mentioning about Bhatinda military station, but even in the press conference, was not made very clear whether we had any sort of injury there at Bhatinda military station, Shivani.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, Akash. Sushant, so you got your clarification there. No casualties on the Indian Army or BSF front, but yes, there are injuries at least across the LOC. We've seen the kind of heavy artillery that Pakistan has been using, not just yesterday, but for a couple of days now, in response to Operation Sandur. Major Malik Jolly, defense expert, is also joining us. Major, how do you look at the fact that India is not revealing too much officially about what our response was?
So it is a very strong move. That is, I mean, given the overall strategy of how you conduct a war, that is how you do it. The thing is, Pakistan has a little habit of, chest thumping. They get a little gorilla-ish once these things start. And they start to announce everything we have done. Even if 10% of that is true, but they go ahead and start declaring everywhere, start making false claims. That is their, that is the backbone of their propaganda to keep everybody confident. Whereas they also know on ground they are suffering badly. India, on the other hand, acts a little mature in that manner that there is no point revealing armed forces when they get into conflict. Secrecies and surprise, those are one of the biggest assets that we have. If we start disclosing and start getting into that chest thumping, unnecessary jingoistic manner, we'll get into a very immature stance. So it is good that these press conferences are very mature, they are very professional. They are there to give sense to the citizens of the nation that this is the overall of what has happened. Rest everything is under control. What you should know is we have situation under control. Majority of drones were shot down. There have been hardly any injuries as Pakistan had expected. And I think that is how it should be done. We need not get into the mechanics and the semantics of basics at who is firing where, what is doing that. That is how a mature, authoritative armed force acts, actually.
Right.
So, job well done, actually.
MJ Vinod is also joining us, Group Captain MJ Vinod. How do you look at the fact that India came out with not a lot of details otherwise from what was already in public domain, but they did make one detail very clear, that a lot of these drones that Pakistan used were Turkish made. Significant, you think?
And absolutely. In fact, yesterday, I think, in the morning with the other three panelists of yours, that is Rahul, Anand and Zaka, we, on your very channel, showed cargo aeroplane coming from Turkey to Karachi and the other areas, where I had raised this concern. I'm sure a lot of imported drones were flown in directly from Turkey. Be that as it may, I am slightly trying to read in between the lines of what being shown on the screen, which is about this Flynas aeroplane coming from Dammam to Lahore. Why they have specifically shown this or any other civilian movement during the hotspot condition could be that this Flynas came very close to being taken out, is my understanding. And it is imperative that, companies like Flynas or any other foreign operators flying into this hot zone when air war is going on. At that time, you can become the collateral damage is the information that is being put out to the world. So I think the air carriers will take a note of it and not fly into a hot war condition where you could be, or highly possible, you may be misidentified, not only by us, maybe by Pakistan themselves, and they'll shoot them down and blame it on us. But Shivani, about this briefing, Manik and I are good friends, but I have a slight bit of disagreement in this. I'm not saying don't chest thump, but I am saying that you reveal more than what you did to the world as well, and to the public of India, because they want to listen to things that we have done and done successfully. For example, we completely decimated the air defense of Lahore, completely decimated the air defense of Sialkot. That should have been brought out loud and clear. Today, with no air defense cover, and with on Sialkot or Lahore, and our forces absolutely ready. Boots on ground is something that is a very high possibility. We are restraining from doing it. I don't know why. I think, I've been saying this for a while. Outskirts of Lahore is where we should be to get Munir on the table.
Okay.
Be that as it may, we should say that we have that option available on the table to put some fear of God into this man called Munir and his country called Pakistan.
No, I get your point. I'm going to come back to all of you in just a bit. We're also awaiting one of our other guests to join us. What is it that India is doing, can do? Why is it that it's not revealing much of its strategy? All of that will be debated in just a bit. But remember, India has come out strongly, not just naming and shaming Pakistan for its escalatory action along the entire western border last night, but it is also called farcical, their attempts to wash their hands of it. Pakistan actually tried to deny any drone and missile attack on their part. Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said that it's preposterous and desperate from Pakistan to allege that India targeted its own cities. It is a deranged fantasy that only Pakistan can come up with, is how he summed it up. Remember, Pakistan fired up to 500 drones and missiles, but Indian forces not only thwarted all of them, have also showed great restraint in its conduct, is also what this briefing said. It focused on restraint in its conduct. Across the LOC, Pakistan also targeted civilian areas with heavy artillery and even damaged a Gurdwara and Christian convent school. Let me also break down some of the other top developments that we're tracking as far as this entire escalation is concerned. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh earlier today chaired a high-level meeting to review the security situation along the border and operational preparedness of the Indian Armed Forces with CDS and the three armed services chief. Home Minister Amit Shah met DG BSF, DG CISF and MHA officials and other senior officials of the ministry to review border situation and airport security arrangements. Union Health Minister JP Nadda chaired a high-level meeting to review emergency health systems preparedness with senior officials. External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar spoke to UK Foreign Secretary today. The discussion centered around countering terrorism, and he told his counterpart that there must be zero tolerance. Pakistan continues to breach ceasefire. 2 more civilians have been killed in this firing. Jammu and Kashmir LG Manoj Sinha visited Uri in fact earlier and met the injured. On another note, BCCI has suspended the IPL for 1 week with immediate effect. They say nothing above the country right now. Pakistan launched as many as 400 drones to target 36 locations. Pakistan used Turkish drones to attack and used civil airlines as shield, as mentioned just now. Border Security Force foiled a major infiltration attempt along the international border in Jammu and Kashmir, Samba, killing 7 terrorists affiliated with the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Pakistan Defence Minister made a laughable comment earlier today saying Pakistan did not shoot down Indian drones fired in retaliation because they didn't want to reveal their own locations. And India is set to present its case before the International Monetary Fund, urging the body to review the financial aid extended to Pakistan. Pakistan attempted to escalate these tensions by targeting as many as 36 locations, but all of those attempts were negated. Let's take a quick check of where all of these actions were taken. All of them neutralized. There's Jammu, Srinagar, Rajouri, Uri, Avantipura, Udhampur, Satwar, Pathankot, Jalandhar. On the other side, there's also Arispura, Arnia and Akhnur, until as far back down low as Jaisalmer. This attempt was done, but of course the big news is that not any of them of the 500 so drones and missiles fired by Pakistan managed to inflict any damage on the Indian side. Now the conflict between India and Pakistan is only escalating, but what makes this conflict different? Let's try and break this down. Now both nations are heavily utilizing sophisticated drone systems. This isn't the war of the old times. Reports of 125 jets clash is one of the largest dogfights recorded in recent history. Reports indicate massive use of electronic warfare, including GPS jamming, disrupting of navigation and communication systems. All of this is different from what earlier wars looked like, certainly the ones that India was part of. A significant escalation is technological warfare. Both nations are reportedly engaging in cyber attacks, targeting critical infrastructure as well. Unprecedented use of water as a strategic weapon by India via the Indus Water Treaty this time. Parallel information war that is being fought on social media as well. And we saw a lot of that last night, for example, when all of this was going on. What is also going on simultaneously is a lot of public and civil prep. I want to emphasize on that because it's going to come to civilians to stand up and be counted if the time comes. Particularly on the medical front, lots of preparations being done. Leaves of health workers across all states and UTs have been cancelled. Drug makers and hospitals have been told to prepare for medical emergencies. AIIMS in Delhi has said that they have held a mass casualty management mock drill a few days ago. Home Ministry has also asked for stricter measures for airport security. It was clear last night that airports were a major point of attack for Pakistan. And MHA has also asked all state chief secretaries to make emergency procurements under available rules, which means India does not want to leave any stone unturned as far as this fight and preparedness for it is concerned. With that, we also ask the question that we're asking today. With Pakistan's repeated strikes, is it really fighting a losing battle? And if so, why is it doing so?
पाकिस्तानी सेना ने नियंत्रण रेखा पर भारी कैलिबर वाले हथियारों से गोलीबारी भी की। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमा और नियंत्रण रेखा पर लेह से लेकर सरक्रीक तक 36 स्थानों पर 300 से 400 लगभग ड्रोनों का इस्तेमाल घुसपैठ का प्रयास करने के लिए किया गया। भारतीय सशस्त्र बलों ने काइनेटिक व नॉन काइनेटिक साधनों का उपयोग करके इनमें से कई ड्रोन्स को मार गिराया।
Pakistan made the preposterous and outrageous claim that it was the Indian Armed Forces and the Indian Air Force that was targeting cities like Amritsar and trying to put the blame on Pakistan. This is nothing but a desperate attempt by Pakistan to disown its acts of aggression, but it is also true to type in its effort to deceive and mislead the world. It will not succeed.
Pakistan will not succeed. That's the message really written loud and clear for it. The writing's on the wall, but somehow Pakistan is not getting that message. Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, former Adjutant General and former GOC 14 Corps of the Indian Army is also joining us. The rest of our guests also continue to be with us. Why is Pakistan going down this road? Lieutenant General, that's my first question. What do you think is going on?
Thank you for inviting me. Unfortunately, I can't see the screen. So I do not know what visuals you are showing, so I am without that.
Okay, we'll try and fix that for you, sir. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Naturally, what Pakistan has tried out in yesterday night, it's important to know that they have gone right up to Leh, which is not easy. To go to Leh, one has to go from Baltistan, maybe taking off from Skardu, which is a very long distance off. So the effort required to go from Leh to Leh is immense, and Sir Creek is also not an easy phenomena. So I would say that they have engaged the entire border since they found out that day before yesterday that the airfields which they tried day before yesterday, 15 of them were not approachable for various reasons because of the umbrella of air defense around the airfields. When you start counting Avantipura to Bhuj, they were only trying the airfields day for yesterday night. Yesterday night, they went beyond the airfields because the success rate was poor. They spread across to military cantonments. And when you go to the military cantonments and other places, the kind of AD cover which is available at an airfield is not available. For example, at places like Leh, or places like Udhampur and all that, the S-400s are actually scanty. Even the other ones, Akash Tir or Spider and all, are not available. Most of the other locations will have AK guns, which are the Zeus or L-70s being fired. So there is possibility of targeting military locations other than the airfields is tremendously more than than there is a possibility of hitting the airfields, because airfields are protected in any way. So it is obvious that they tried these 300-400 drones across into these cantonments like Bathinda. The Bisiana is a little far away, but Bathinda is one of these places, and many others. I think their lack of success, and I'm not very sure if all 400, if they were trying, all 400 were down by us, or some of them got through, because it's actually well nigh impossible to hold on to all 400. Even the Israelis are not able to do so. So exact information, there's still fog of war. Exact information is not coming across as to what when you see.
Can I just come in, sir? Can I just come in? We're also learning that most of them were dummies.
But decoy drones is part and parcel of the game that we play. When we throw drones, a swarm of drones, there are a large number of decoys that are sent, so that there is ammunition being wasted, including missiles if they are using it to down decoy drones, and that kind of ammunition get wasted. So sending decoy drones is part and parcel of the military operation being carried out. How many decoys, this is all part of it. So I don't think you could carry this issue further in discussion as to why decoys were used and why decoys were not used. This is part of the game. There is also one issue I wish to raise, is that how much of information can the adversary, and I'm sure the group captain can answer it better, how much of information can the adversary glean out of a drone attack being sent by us? Can he pick up the frequencies, the channel, the direction from where it is coming, where it is being launched? So all that information, if it gleans out of our attacks, it becomes easier for him for next night to know, okay, the attacks are coming up, and that's the reason why we are not actually disclosing. The social media says we went to Atok, or we went to many other places which Pakistani social media is showing. But all this is not being told, because once you make a commitment officially that we attacked a particular place, you can say which side it is coming from, which frequency it uses, how can it be downed. So, the keeping quiet is a good idea. And I'll add a last issue.
Yes.
While we have spoken that Lahore was hit, and that S300s or whatever they called HQ9, which was destroyed, and also Sialkot. But suffice it to say, any good nation would have reserves available, or have the capacity to sidestep some of these ones from less threatened airfields across to these areas. So when we go to Lahore again or Sialkot again, we must not deem it that it is vacant and we can try it out there. Because by now, important places like Lahore would not be left as a void, and it will be filled in. So, this is part of the games, Ife. And I end by saying that we didn't hear about the famous Turkish drone, which was used in Ukrainian war. See, after 2 months of Ukrainian war, the Turkish drones became defunct. They were non-useful, because the Russians were able to find the measure to drop these Turkish drones. So Turkish drones were not used after, say, May, June of the starting of the war. So how do we react to Turkish drones is also an issue that we need to be saying.
Can I take your query to Group Captain Vinod, who's with us? It's interesting that Lieutenant General mentioned this, because earlier we had a comment from Khwaja Asif also that we didn't stop their drones till they were too close to us, so that we don't give out our locations. I did speak to experts earlier in the afternoon as well, and they said there is no such technical issue here. So do you want to clarify on that front, and also what Lieutenant General was saying, that are our capabilities or locations also being scouted by them with these attacks that they tried to attempt last night? No damage really? Was it more a scouting mission?
Shivani, a couple of things. The briefing also mentioned a drone called Asisgat Songer drone from Turkey, and that is the one which I put behind me. Like General covered, this particular drone uses open frequency like 2.4 gigahertz and 5.8 gigahertz, which of course uses the frequency hopping technique, but it is easily A, jammable, B, we can bring them down using soft kill, and which was also mentioned. Colonel Qureshi mentioned that, if you remember. So if you put high power jammers I mean, for the sake of viewers, I'm saying this. When you put high power jammers and when 10 or 20 or 50, 30 or 100 drones or these come, they lose contact with the controller. And so there are some drones which requires the back and forth communication for it to operate. Songer is one of them. The drones that we send, Harop or any other advanced drones which is going into Pakistan, are electronically silent. You cannot jam them because they have onboard intelligence. For example, Harop was launched. It's called a loitering munition, and rightfully a loitering munition. It goes without a target. Can you believe it? It does not have a target. It goes without a target, and whenever the target pops up, it checks with its library and goes and hits. So there is difference in the way we conduct drone warfare currently. Whether we'll go down this route or not, I really don't know. But currently, our drone warfare is different from the drone warfare that they are doing. We also intercepted some Mavic off-the-shelf drones also being launched by them using some makeshift hook in which they put some Pow Giloka bomb. So these are things I thought in this press briefing we could have exposed, because we have captured them, and it is officially being shown on the social media and otherwise. So I'm not saying just something, but I'm saying feel good factor would have been good.
Group Captain Vinod, just to simplify this for the layperson, I think what Lieutenant General said is a key question to ask. What did Pakistan achieve by throwing so many drones at us when not one of them has even exploded? Some of them have fell and not exploded. There's also visuals of a Chinese missile which didn't explode and has been found in full one piece. Again, his question was, did we give away anything in retaliation to these drones?
The counter question is, do we do what Khwaja Asif said, that we don't retaliate at all? That is a counter question. We have to, because we don't know what they are carrying. So retaliation out of the question. We had to retaliate. But the best part is, what did not come out in the press briefing very loud and clear, but it did, is that the non-kinetic means had much larger effect in bringing them down than the kinetic means, because kinetic means are very, very limited. The zoo guns that General talked about and other guns that the General talked about are very limited and does not have the capability to bring down so many together. So the non-kinetic means effort has been good. Did they glean something out of the non-kinetic means? They may have, through the operators or other people in our soil. Otherwise, there is no way you can make out how the non-kinetic means functioned. But the data of non-kinetic means, whether it is with them or not, I think by now it will be with them. And in any professional army, they would have something called an ELINT or electronic intelligence by now. They would have the details. That is a given. You cannot, put a boxing gloves and put the gloves in your pocket and fight. When the gloves come out, you will know what the gloves is made of. Over to you, Shivani.
Yes, absolutely. All right. I also want to bring in Ashok Malik, a partner of the Asia Group and chair of the India practice, who's also joining us. We're trying to understand exactly where this goes. Why is Pakistan down this road? This is a losing battle for it, but why is it on this path? But first, I want an overview from you. Just who are those countries who can impress upon Pakistan? Some statements have been made in this regard, but who are those countries that can impress upon Pakistan effectively to not go down that path, not escalate with India?
Powers that could influence Islamabad and Rawalpindi not to escalate, because it is entirely in their interest to escalate. If they escalate, we will be forced to escalate.
Yes.
I imagine countries that are friends of India and also have the better interest of Pakistan in mind. Countries such as Saudi Arabia, which is a friend of India and has been an old patron of Pakistan. Countries such as the US, which still counts for a lot in Pakistan. I don't know what the Chinese will be saying. I don't think the Chinese want to get involved directly, to be honest, in a conflict with India. They are quite happy to see Pakistan do a bit, but not beyond a certain point. But more than other countries, I think good sense has to prevail within Pakistan itself. Because in the end, it's Pakistan's organic decision. That what steps do you want to take to, and what will be the outcome of those steps for your own country? That is the question Pakistan has to ask itself. No other country can ask that question on behalf of Pakistan.
Right. Sushant, coming to you as well. How far do you think Pakistan is willing to go? It has shown that in the aftermath of in Operation Sindoor, it has attempted twice at least to target directly our military installations. They have not shied away from that. Denial is a separate issue. How far do you think they are willing to go?
Shivani, I think the question to be asked is how far is India willing to go? And quite honestly, I think things are de-escalating. We've decided, if I make sense of the press briefing today correctly, then I think it is very clear that we've said, okay, fine, they hit 36 places, 500 drones, and we attacked some 4 places and we hit 1, and that's it. We haven't escalated beyond that. So I think this whole thing is winding down. That's my impression, and I'm afraid I don't agree with people who say that we should keep quiet, we should keep everything under our chest, hide it behind some kind of a cloak and dagger stuff. There is a psychological degradation of the enemy that you have to do. You do not have to give him any kind of a face saver. You have to rub his bloody nose in the dust. And if you're not going to be able to do it, then that fellow, given his DNA, given his mental makeup, given the kind of shamelessness he represents, and the kind of brazenness he exudes, he is going to claim some kind of victory. And you have to deny him that. And my question is, have we done it? We keep talking about, we are a very professional military. We have shown a lot of restraint. Why have we shown restraint? Please tell me. If they are shelling my civilians in Poonch and in other parts of Jammu and Kashmir, what is stopping me from targeting their civilians and flattening them out? I enjoy the advantage of topography. I have my weapon systems in place. I have, in virtually 90% of the LOC, I have the advantage. Why am I not flattening them out? Why am I not making them scream in pain?
I don't know.
That's a question, a legitimate question to ask. For somebody to say to me, no, but we are Gandhian followers of Gandhi, so we cannot do this. We will only fight in a very chivalrous manner. I am all for chivalry, but I'm not for chivalry with barbarians.
Maybe. I'm just hazarding a guess. I'll allow our other guests to take on that question because, I am one of those people who tweeted yesterday that I don't understand Indian restraint sometimes. And maybe this is one of those situations. But Major Jolly, you want to weigh in on this? What are we waiting for?
Yeah, no, see, we are not waiting for. The thing is, there is a lot of data that we don't know. I mean, including you, Mr. Sareen, me, and everybody here, we depend on the government information to come. And maybe we have flattened out some areas. Maybe our artillery response has been tremendous. Maybe there's a reason they are backing off. Maybe we have downed all their drones. But there's also, no, that is just your opinion.
Where is the sign they are backing off? Please tell me, where is the sign that they are backing off? Last night, if our briefing is correct, the spokespersons of the armed forces and the foreign office have told us that they attacked in 36 places from Leh to Sir Creek. They've attacked in 36 places and over 400 to 500 drones were fired, whatever the kind of drones were. How are they backing off?
Did you hear I said maybe? I said we all are speculating, right? We just a thought exercise right now. What I'm trying to say is
that if somebody is firing 400 drones, then the word maybe becomes redundant, sir.
I know, I agree with you, but there's let's say the basic difference between your and mine thinking would be I come from a hardcore intelligence background. I'm never happy with information sharing. You are an analyst and a intellectual of this subject. So your thinking might differ for me, but that's all right. Another reason I would say we are not doing away with a lot of information is we are still in the operation. Op Sindoor is still going on. Whether we are on defensive, whether we are on offensive, whether we have held our ground, whether we are attacking, it does not matter. We are in middle of it. Any bit of information that is given out, let's say we took down your drone so and so by so. A certain kind of drone is taken down only by a certain kind of technology. A certain response is given by only a certain kind of weapon. A certain aircraft is countered by certain jammers or certain radars and certain aircraft and missiles. Every time we put out something in public, it's an indication of our capability. And fine, let's take it for granted they know a lot. But why should we give out? It's just a way in which wars are fought. You should have a absolute control on information that you give. We are not, and at least till the time our operation is over. We are in the middle of operation.
Okay.
There is no sense of giving out data at this point.
Okay. You know, that's a fair point. But Lieutenant General, yes, Sushant, yes, go ahead.
Look, I am not saying give operational data.
Yes,
I am not
yes.
saying give operational information. I am saying at least you say where all you have hit them.
Yes,
Which
I
are
think
the
I get
cities-
your point. I was coming exactly to that nobody wants operational details or capability details, but what is holding us back either from acting back or from detailing that action? Is it that we still want to give Lieutenant General Pakistan the opportunity to cool down, an off-ramp as it is technically called? We are building pressure internationally, we are building pressure through the IMF, World Bank, etc. Or what is it that you think is going on?
Look, I take the word of Sushant, who's been a good friend from long years. The fact is, it's an issue of credibility of a country. If we do not target the way we need to target the adversary, whether it is in response or it is proactive, we will lose credibility, we will lose the issue of deterrence. You know, we have to, finally, it is not about retribution alone. It's also a question of creating some strategic deterrence. So, I know in the 30 years of firing that we have done on the line of control, we have extensive data and we would have been targeting places that you can't imagine. There are townships in Lipa Valley, townships on NH1 Alpha, larger villages. They do as much of tilling and agriculture along the line of control as we do. So to say that we are not targeting them, I think that will be impossible. You can't even hit a post on the opposite side without having some villages across not being hit. So, you know, let's leave the villages alone. If they are hitting Punch and they're hitting Rajouri and they're hitting Bimber, be rest assured we must be doing similar. I have retired long ago, but we must be doing similar things. We have been doing similar things earlier when we were, when the firing was on in 90s and 2000. So you rest assured that there is I won't say a quid pro quo, but there will be more forceful fire that we do, and we have done major work on this issue. So let's leave that the line of actual.
But why are we not announcing it?
Absolutely.
I mean, if they are not announcing, see, you take my word for it, they are doing it. But if they are not announcing it, does it hurt you? I mean, I would say
no,
so.
I think that is centrally what Sushant is getting at, right? The mental degradation of the opponent.
Allow me.
Yeah.
There is a small township in the Neelam Valley. We are hitting that township. There are school buses go from there for people or across T2R. School buses line up in the morning to take children across there. Why should, if I'm hitting it, I don't know, but if I'm hitting it, why should I say that I'm hitting school buses? Yeah. Why do you want to know? I wouldn't like to say, yeah, we are doing this. We have earlier got larger number of their villages vacated when the firing was on our own self without nation coming to know.
Right.
But we did that. Now it hurts them as much as they do it.
Okay. No, I think we meant more. Yes,
the point I want to make is that if we are hitting the plains area, now you're talking about the area of the IB sector.
Yes, yes.
Now, the IB sector. Now, if you see the social media, if Karachi is hit, then there is Karachi's things are available on the social media. Now you can follow it. So you might as well say, yes, we hit Karachi, we hit Attock, we hit Gujranwala, we hit Sargodha. Many of these things are available, and we can say so that the following were targeted. I don't think we should hesitate in saying it. It will elevate the morale of our nation, saying that we did. When we first day announced that we hit Bahawalpur and we hit Muridke. Muridke is new for the nation. Muridke is a new name. Muridke is a name that we have been rattling out from last 30 years. Every day in and day out in all war games, Muridke used to come up. So, you know, we rest assured these names are not new to us, and the names are not the places. I mean, I'm sure they are being targeted. We can say so. We can say Muridke and Bahawalpur. We can also say we hit cantonments of Gujranwala, Sargodha, Shekhupura, Raiwind. I mean, we can name all these ones if we are targeting it.
Okay,
so, I mean,
I understand. Differing views, but I think everybody has the same end goal in mind. You know, we're just breaking on our screens that the PSL, which was going on, which is going on in Pakistan, is expected to be shifted, or Pakistan wants to shift it. Yesterday, one of their stadiums actually got hit. Those visuals we certainly got, but that was the afternoon action. From last night, we don't really have much of what India has managed, but what we're getting to know now is that the UAE Cricket Board will likely not approve Pakistan Cricket Board's request to hold the PSL in UAE, because that was the venue that was being considered. And one source is telling us that security concerns could potentially emanating from the rising tension between India and Pakistan could be the reason why they don't want to do this. And this brings me to the second part of my discussion today. The Indian government has certainly come out and named Turkish drones. You've got other countries that are standing with Pakistan despite knowing what Pakistan is up to and what it generally does against India. Has time come for us now to also tell other countries, and Sushant, you can come in on this, that if you do business with Pakistan, you don't do business with us?
Shivani, I've been of that view for many, many years now. And I believe that, if India has some economic heft, then we must start learning to use how this economic heft has to be deployed to penalize or take punitive action against enemy countries. There was a time, not very long back, I believe under the Modi government, if I'm not mistaken, where there was some flirtation with the idea of imposing sanctions on companies doing business, for example, in POK. And I remember at that point of time, there were a few South Koreans, including a couple of Japanese companies, which were bidding for some contracts in POK, who asked me, how will this play out? Will India actually follow through? And at that point of time, I thought that the government of India will actually operationalize this, but they didn't. But you can be rest assured that many of those companies would never venture into POK or even for that matter Pakistan if India was to have some kind of a coherent policy to close itself to business to these kind of companies. Because after all, what are they going to get from the Pakistani market? Indian market is far more lucrative, far more beneficial for them. And I think this is one particular leverage we can use. There are many others that we can explore, we can deploy. And I think, look, you have an inveterate enemy. You've had it for the last 80 years. Unless we have any kind of rose-tinted lenses from which we view this country, I think we should wake up to the fact that we cannot ever live in peace with these fellows, right? They are genetically... it's not possible. It's just not going to be possible. Okay. Now you want to delude yourself, by all means. You want to go to Anarkali Bazaar for that 10 rupee damn thing which somebody gives to you free. Be my guest. You want to have a free rickshaw ride because some lowlife in Pakistan is saying, okay, you've come from India, you are my brother, I'll give you a free rickshaw ride, and you want to make a policy on that basis. Be my guest. But that's not going to get you peace with these fellows.
Okay.
You will only get peace with them if you hold the big danda over them. And that danda we have not forged as yet of the kind we need.
Let me take that economic question to Ashok Malik also, because some experts may say that all of this funding keeps going to Pakistan. It's too big a country or too dangerous a country to fail because of its nuclear capabilities. We know of some pressure that India is trying to build on the IMF, for example, to reconsider its loan to Pakistan. Do you think it's finally time that the international community should come on the same page on this?
See, there are two things here. One, I think Pakistan's utility to the West, to America, for instance, has declined. It has not fallen to absolute zero, but it has declined since the American troops withdrew from Afghanistan in, 2021, 22, 21 and 22, when they withdrew from Afghanistan. And you're seeing that in the American response to Pakistan this time. Yes, Pakistan is a very strategically important geography, connecting South Asia and Central Asia. Yes, it has nuclear weapons, which gives us a certain blackmailing capacity. But there is a limit to how much how far that can take you. And it's a country that has continuously placed itself at the in the hands of one superpower or the other, without caring for its own people and its own development.
Yes.
So, whatever assistance it gets, the question is, how does it use that assistance? Does it use it for its own people, or does it use it for its generals and their lifestyles? That's a question that Pakistan has never been able to answer honestly. And in terms of the economic impact, the economic steps we can take on Pakistan, today the Indian economy is much larger. It has business and trade linkages with many major economies in the region, in the broader Asian region, as well as in the West. It also has. It's also an important investment and business destination for big companies, big banks, and financial institutions. In times to come, I'm sure we can use this to in our own way, impose sanctions against not all of Pakistan, but against certain entities in Pakistan that are clearly linked to perhaps the army, because the army is a big business. It's almost a business house in Pakistan. It controls banks, factories. So we can impose sanctions on our own as India and attempt to get those companies and institutions that do business in India to in effect choose.
Yeah.
So there are steps we can take. There is the FATF that can be approached again. We approached it very effectively after 2008, after the Mumbai attacks. So there are economic steps we can take, and I'm sure the IMF meeting will also see a lot of argument.
Yes, absolutely. I've got only a minute left. I'll give 30 seconds each to Manik Jolly. Yes, Lieutenant General, you want to come in, sir? I have limited time, 30 seconds to you.
So, Steve, Witkoff's son, Zachary Witkoff, was in Islamabad last week as heading of a corporation on crypto, and he signed an agreement with the Pakistanis, including met the Prime Minister, he met the Chief of the Army, and they signed a major deal. His corporation is also supported by President Trump, and this was signed with a great fanfare. Large number of MOUs. They will develop the entire crypto kind of systemic for Pakistan over a period of time. This is a time when we are actually preparing ourselves for the way we went across this 27th or 28th of April. So the fact of the matter is that there are other deals being happening behind the back. While we may be doing many things, the United States is doing separate deals across with Pakistan.
Yeah.
So I want to add a point here.
No, absolutely. It is a challenge, certainly, of how to isolate Pakistan economically. Major Jolly, we've seen some steps that India has taken which were never taken earlier. Like, for example, putting the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. And PM has been very categorical that this water is going to be used for us. Pakistan will be damned. So do you think finally, mentally, we are prepared to take more economic sanctions for those who deal with Pakistan also?
Yeah, most definitely. I would agree on Mr. Sareen and Mr. Malik what he said. And the day when they started and IWT was, announced by the PM, that day I took a call that this is siege warfare. You're trying to bring a nation down. While everybody loves a little, that Royal Rumble cage in the mass WWE type fight and armies fighting. But this is going to be a long drawn thing. You are trying to break down a nation. Suspending water was a brilliant move. Then, as everybody is suggesting and agreeing, economic sanctions should be is a great move. You should just clearly say either you choose us or them. And the economic might we can actually pull it off. So go ahead and break them down from every possible corner.
I've run out of time on that note, but I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Time to go for the kill, and I don't mean literal kill, but certainly an economic kill, because that seems to be the goal that India has envisaged to break down Pakistan's capabilities. Time for me to take your leave. Thanks a lot for watching Plain Speak. My colleague Anand Narasimhan is joining you on the other side.
Co-powered by
All right. I want to move on to another piece of breaking news that's just coming through. We're given to understand that a former Lashkar-e-Taiba operative and in aid of the Lashkar-e-Taiba founder Hafiz Saeed has exposed the outfit. He says that many youths motivated by Hafiz Saeed's speeches and then joined the Lashkar-e-Taiba subsequently traveled to Afghanistan as well as to Kashmir in India approximately 500 individuals from across the country traveled to Afghanistan to undergo training at a camp named Taiba, that's located in Kunar province. He says Hafiz Saeed is also responsible for the deaths of thousands of Pakistanis by sending them in a war of ashes to achieve the state's political goals. This is something that Noor Dari, that's the name of the individual. He's a former Lashkar operative. Tejinder has more details on this. Tejinder, read the tea leaves for us. What does this necessarily mean?
See, Zaka, this Noor Dari right now is the executive director for ITCT, which is an international think tank that exposes Islamist terrorists. He says that his mother wanted him to become a doctor, but he, like thousands of Pakistanis, were motivated by the speeches given by the LET founder Hafiz Saeed. He says that he was appointed as the aide of Hafiz Saeed. He used to guard him in the Murtaqi camp where he was deputed, and he says that Hafiz Saeed was traveling in a blue Toyota Wigo pickup Datsun. So Hafiz Saeed is responsible, as per Dahari, Hafiz Saeed is responsible for the death of thousands of Pakistani youth whom they motivate through his lectures. They join his terror outfit. They are sent to Afghanistan. They are sent to Kashmir, and they become a cannon fodder for the so-called war which Hafiz Saeed and other terrorists are fighting. He says that there are millions of Pakistanis and who have been motivated by the speech of Hafiz Saeed, and they have joined the terror cult of LET. He says that he took a decision finally because he saw that this will get him nothing, so he left LET, and he was made fun by the other LET members, saying that he was coward, that is why he was leaving it, but he realized that Hafiz Saeed would lead them to nowhere. So finally he right now in UK, settled there, and is working with one of the international think tanks as an executive director. So this person has exposed Hafiz Saeed and how this terror factory is radicalizing the youth of Pakistan, the youth who could have taken a pen, who could have taken a stethoscope to become a doctor or an engineer, but Hafiz Saeed and his ilk is making these people the cannon fodder for their so-called jihad, training them in several terror training camps across Pakistan, in borders with Afghanistan, and then sending them to fight and get killed in Kashmir. He says that thousands of Pakistani youth who are trained by Hafiz Saeed are sent across into Jammu and Kashmir to fight this so-called war, and 90% of them never return. They get killed by the Indian Armed Forces. So clearly exposing Hafiz Saeed and his terror factory. Yes, Zaka.
Jinder, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. So that's a former operative of the Lashkar-e-Taiba exposing the founder and the chief architect of one of the most dreaded terror organizations, an organization that's wanted for numerous terror attacks here in India. His headquarters, of course, was bombed in Operation Sindoor a couple of days ago. Meanwhile, let's bring you up to speed with where things are as of right now. In the last 24 hours, Pakistan has made multiple attempts to breach India's air defense systems, but the good news is India's air defense has prevailed against Pakistani missiles and drones. The army has managed to neutralize the air defense system in Lahore after Pakistan attempted to engage a number of military targets in northern as well as western India. When Pakistan made failed attempts to send a swarm of drones across at least half a dozen, if not a dozen places along the line of control and the international border, over 40 to 50 drones, and this is what the Indian Army statement said earlier today, over 40 to 50 drones were successfully neutralized in a 3-4 hour period from about 8:30 in the evening yesterday all the way up to about midnight. The engagement involved extensive use of the L-70 guns, the Zu-23 Shilkas, and of course other advanced counter-UAS equipment, including of course the S-400s and the indigenously built Akash surface-to-air missiles. It also showed the Army's capability to counter these aerial threats. So what are these weapon systems, these air defense systems which were activated yesterday and managed to avert what could have been a big sort of barrage of attacks by the enemy on Indian soil. The L-70, it's developed by Bofors, is produced under the license here in India. It's a 40mm gun, modernized with radars, electro-optical sensors, and also auto-tracking systems. It can fire anywhere between 250 to 300 rounds per minute. It's got a range of up to 4,000 meters, about 4 kilometers or so. The L-70 excels in anti-drone warfare, saturating the sky with predictive fire, making it effective against a swarm of drones and also trying to evade the tracking of these aerial systems. So that's the L-70. It's a short-range gun. Then you have the Shilka, which is a self-propelled system, self-propelled gun. It's got 4 23mm autocannons that are guided by radar-detecting targets, and it can detect targets up to 20 kilometers away. So that's again a short-range weapon. It can unleash about 4,000 rounds per minute, and it's been upgraded with proximity fuse ammunition as well as advanced fire control systems to tackle drones that are becoming smaller and smaller. The Shilka's rapid fire and radar precision make it lethal for UAVs, helicopters, light armored vehicles. The Shilka's dense curtain of rounds offers a last resort protection for air bases, military convoys, sensitive installations, much of which are now currently under elevated levels of threat because of the ongoing.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and thank you for staying with us here at CNN News 18 as we are on our continuous rolling coverage. And here on the right stand, we continue to train the focus on Operation Sindoor, the post-Pahalgam massacre retribution exacted by Bharat, and Operation Sindoor continues because Pakistan has decided that Bharat's counter-terror strike will be retaliated or responded to by the Pakistan state and its military by targeting Bharatiya military installations. Now we are into the 9th of May. And this seems to be continuing because Pakistan does not want to get off ramp. They don't want to back off. They want to continue up the escalation ladder. That's what it looks like. How long is General Asim Munir going to be able to continue on this vein, and how long is his position itself tenable as Pak Army Chief? It's all a matter of time. But Bharat is well prepared. Even as we speak, the Tri-Services Chiefs, after a briefing at 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, are just exiting the Prime Minister's residence after meeting PM Modi now in the national capital. Pak Army is resorting to ceasefire violations in Uri. So those are the pictures of the Tri-Services Chief exiting 7 Lok Kalyan Marg after their engagement with the Prime Minister and total debrief. We are given to understand that the army, the three wings of the armed forces, in fact all of them who are involved in defending our borders, have been given a free hand with respect to purchase and also emergency munitions and supplies, etc. They have been given direct leeway for the next 6 months, so they don't have to go through the bureaucratic red tape. That just frees the hands up of the forces. So Bharat is prepared for the long haul if Pakistan wants to push and continue to perhaps drag this entire war on terror. But on the other hand, can the Pakistanis really survive this, and can they really last? We'll get to that also. Meanwhile, Bharat's army is retaliating effectively along the LC. There have been losses for us. Civilian lives have been targeted. But Bharat, with video evidence that we've put out, is targeting only Pakistan military posts and their bunkers. Even as Pakistan bombed the Gurdwara in Jammu Kashmir's Poonch and attempted to strike Amritsar in Punjab, the Pakistani military lied about Bharat trying to hit Nankana Sahib Gurdwara in the Pak Punjab province. Another blatant lie by Pakistan and bid to spread misinformation has been exposed by none other than Vikram Misri himself during the third briefing just earlier in the evening. The larger question is Bharat's unity a big challenge for Pakistan, or was Pakistan trying to find an off-ramp by blaming Bharat for a communal act? How bigoted, how far gone, how vile and devious can the Pakistan military establishment be is evident from this, that they tried to bomb Amritsar, the Harmandir Sahib, the Golden Temple in Amritsar, and then they were trying to work out their Khalistani goons and their cronies sitting across on foreign land to try and turn it around as a narrative that the Indian Air Force and the Indian forces themselves bombed Amritsar. That failed because of our defense system. So then they turned around and said that Bharat is sending drones across towards Nankana Sahib. So this is how devious the enemy is, and this is the enemy whom we are fighting. they will not learn a lesson till they have been really, really punitively punished. And somewhere Bharat seems determined to do that if the Pakistanis don't back off and don't start cooperating in this war against terror, especially that which is emanating from Pakistan's soil. So from Operation Sindoor marking the valor of Bharat to 3 key press briefings represented by Vikram Mistry, Lieutenant Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, Bharat's unity has been at play, dismantling Pakistan's communal fake factory. Let's listen into what the Foreign Secretary said a short while ago.
Disinformation that is coming from Pakistan about India targeting the Nankana Sahib Gurdwara through a drone attack. This is again yet another blatant lie and part of Pakistan's disinformation campaign. As we saw in the Pahalgam attack, Pakistan is again trying desperately to impart a communal hue to the situation with an intention to create discord. Again, we are not surprised. India's steadfast unity in itself is a challenge to Pakistan.
Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, former GOC 15 Corps of the Northern Command Indian Army, is with us. We should have Tilak Devasharji, author and former member of the National Security Advisory Board, joining us. Tara Karta, former director NSCS, should also be joining us. But Ambassador Rajiv Dogra is already with us, former diplomat and Consul General to Karachi. My namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Let's start with this devious plot. General Dhillon, look at how vile the enemy is. They were trying to attack Harmandir Sahib after damaging the Punch Gurdwara, killing 4 Granthis there, injuring innocent civilians, including a young Sikh boy. And then they were trying to conduct a drone attack on Amritsar and pin it on the Indian forces. Ab wo fail ho gaya, then they are trying to spread canards that the Indian forces are trying to bomb Nankana Sahib.
Anand, good evening and good evening to your viewers and my fellow panelists. Pakistan can go to any extent and to prove their point or to drive their agenda. They can bomb any place of worship, and they have done it in the past, they have done it during this time also, and for them there are no qualms about it. You remember the Lal Masjid incident during Musharraf's time?
Ji.
So they have no holds barred policy as far as their agenda is concerned. Whereas India, we are a multicultural, multi-religious and very homogeneous society. We respect each faith, we respect each other's value system, and we are a different people. Like their chief was telling, Chief of Army Staff, he was telling some other context, but I am saying we are custodians of 5,000 years of civilization, where we have lived together like brothers and sisters, and we will continue to do so. Whereas Pakistan, I can believe anything as low as the bottom of the ocean. Expecting it from Pakistan is okay, because they can actually go down to those levels of lowliness. So I am not surprised at all. And their agenda, good thing it has been exposed, and good thing that through your channel, through this program, you are exposing it and making your viewers aware about it, so that tomorrow, unintentionally also, nobody should fall prey to the false propaganda, especially in the era of WhatsApp forward, unverified rumors. And for this also, I would request the audience or the viewers, do not believe anything which is not coming from the official handle. Do not pass on anything which you have not verified. You are only adding to the enemy's agenda of misinformation. So be responsible, be very critical. If someone has sent you something, question him or her. Do not just spread the rumors, because in a war like this, where narratives and agendas play a very important role, truth is the first casualty. And we are seeing it happening. You are giving one example, we can give 20 examples, where killing of civilians, killing of innocent civilians, killing of people on the basis of religion, all these things are happening and counterclaims are being made. So as a responsible country, as a responsible citizenry, we must do our duty towards the nation, towards our fellow citizens.
Sir, there is actually digital footprint of what they try to do. There is digital footprint. I'm going to check if any of our cameras can capture the laptop, this laptop here, because this is this person, Harjeet Singh, who's a Khalistani. His handle has now been withheld in India. But look what he has tweeted at 2:13 a.m. on the 8th of May 2025. He has tweeted, "Attention Sikhs, brace yourself. India might target Sikh Punjab city with missiles and pin the blame on Pakistan." So this is what he has tweeted. I hope it's visible now. Yeah. So this is what he has said. "Attention Sikhs, this is at 2:13 a.m. on the 8th of May. And this is he's sitting over in Canada, and he's pushing this tweet out. Now let's see. So this is the tweet. So this is what they said, and this is just around the time. Pakistan fires artillery fire and also sends across projectiles over Amritsar, and they are headed towards Harmandir Sahib, the Golden Temple.
Anand, all these things will happen during conflict or war. We should not take them too seriously, because this is the agenda as they are peddling it, and they will do anything. They will use any source or asset of theirs to fulfill and further their agenda. As Indians, we should be together. We should have faith in our government. We should have faith in our leadership. We should have faith in our defense forces. And we should have faith in the ethos and culture of our defense forces, which is above all these things. So I don't take these things seriously, and I request all the citizens also not to give too much bhav to these things, because these things are the start point of any rifts or any fissures which may be created by the enemy. We need to be very clear. We as a nation, we as citizens of this great nation called India, we are together, and we will fail or will negate or will defeat these agendas.
Tilak Devashar ji, good evening. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra first, and then Tilak Devashar ji. Your thoughts on this treachery? How do we expose? This is wild. And also in Punch, they have killed Christian. They've bombed a church. They killed innocent Sikhs, Granthis. They bombed a Gurdwara. Christians are dead. They just don't care. They are attacking religious places and trying to give this entire thing a communal color. Even last evening on these drone attacks, when they have tried to mask themselves behind a civilian plane, they have allowed a plane from Dammam to fly over that airspace where they have deliberately tried to create trouble, hoping that one of our anti-aircraft missiles hits a civilian aircraft. This was also revealed by Vikram Misri. What kind of a nation is this, and what kind of a military is this, Tilak Devashar ji?
I agree with what General Dillon said. You cannot imagine the depths to which Pakistan has stooped in the past and can stoop in future. They have absolutely no morality, and for them, and also one other thing, I also get a sense that this is a sense of desperation. The more they do this, they show that they are getting desperate. They know they've got the wrong end of the stick. They are getting a thrashing from India, and so they will try and use these kind of cheap, low-level tactics to try and create a communal flare-up. I mean, trying to target the Harmandir Sahib or that Punch Gurdwara. I mean, how low life can you get? But must be expected from Pakistan that they will do this. They will do much more. So you have to be on your guard. You have to ensure that they are not successful. At the same time, we must also recognize that in terms of fake news, that in terms of spreading lies, they are far ahead of us. We have a sense of morality. We don't do these kinds of things, but they don't. So they will win the war of narratives, fake narratives. And I'm glad that the PIB has started fact-checking a lot of this, and it's coming out faster and faster after fact-checking whatever is being put out. So all of us need to be on our guard, need to be very careful, but accept the fact that Pakistan will stoop even lower as the days go by.
Right. Now, even as we speak, the Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh is at 7 Lok Kalyan mark. So clearly there are hectic meetings that are going on in terms of deciding the next strategy, and also try and bring in a certain level of operational flexibility, fluidity and agility, if we may say, in terms of in a situation where Bharat is preparing for the long haul, and also, like they say, hoping for the best and preparing for the worst. So the assessment is continuously on. Let's quickly move on, and there is the other dimension that we want to bring for all our viewers. Now, even as a desperate Pakistan plays the communal card, Bharat has sent a very stern warning to Pakistan. The first warning is de-escalate or pay a heavy price. The second warning, give up on terror and give up the terror akas. Now that's what the clear ask is. The first warning is de-escalate or pay a heavy price. The second one is focus on eliminating terror from its roots. So the warning is that if you don't help us, we will do it for you, and we will continue to do it. We are not going to relent. The third warning is targeted. Bharat has always targeted terror emanating from Pakistani soil, not military or civilian installations or facilities. So stop spreading lies. The fourth, the war preparedness is better on this side. We have superior tech, and the tech is indigenous. We can last and sustain this for far longer than you can afford to. The fifth warning, Pakistan ministers to stop creating hysteria, panic and stop spreading disinformation. That they are clueless is known to the world. That they are hopeless is known to their constituency, their voters, their people. And that the military is not even keeping them informed is evident by their bluster. The sixth warning, hand over the terror heads. Masood Azhar, Rauf Azhar, Hafiz Saeed, Tala Saeed. Hand them over. Till you hand them over, we are going to continue to come after these terror tanzeems and their akas. Warning number 7, stop proxy war, deal with domestic crisis. Stop trying to bleed Bharat with 1,000 cuts, otherwise we will just rip off the band-aid of you forever, and it will be very, very surgical. Dismemberment. That's the warning that's going through. And who are the people who we want, the most wanted, and why do we want them? The Lashkar Chief Hafiz Saeed, 1985-86, he founded Lashkar-e-Taiba, played a key role in the Lashkar Ops and fundraising activities. Leader of the terror outfit Jamaat-ud-Dawa, front of the Lashkar, most wanted in India and the United States. Bharat seeks his extradition. Pakistan has said no bilateral treaty, and that's why we won't bring him out. His son Tala Saeed is an active Lashkar member. 2005, sent Lashkar recruits to fight in various countries. 2006, oversaw management of terrorist camp. 2006, established the Lashkar office in Quetta, assisted Taliban ops in Afghanistan. 2008, mastermind of the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. Again 2008, labelled a specially designated US global terrorist by the United States. 2019 and 20, he was sentenced to 78 years in prison for terror financing by the Pakistanis, because that's the only way they could keep him close but still at an arm's distance in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of the world, to get out of that FATF grey listing. Jaish terror group chief Masood Azhar, radicalized in the Jamia Islamia Binori town in Karachi, influenced by the Harkatul Mujahideen, travelled to Afghanistan for arms training at the age of 21, linked to the 2001 parliament attack, designated global terrorist by the UN, orchestrated deadly Pulwama attacks in 2019. Jaish commander Abdul Rauf Asghar, Jaish chief Masood Azhar's brother, also known as Mufti Abdul Rauf Asghar, hardline cleric and jihadist, Jaish's supreme commander since 2007. 1999, orchestrated the IC-814 hijacking. 2001, linked to the parliament attack. 2002, linked to Daniel Pearl's murder. 2005, linked to Ayodhya temple attack. 2008, linked to Mumbai attacks. 2010, US designated him a global terrorist. 2016, involved in Pathankot airbase attack. 2019, involved in Pulwama attack. 2022, India moved to blacklist him by the UNSC, and it's been blocked by China. Now, before we go back to our guests, you have to listen to this. It's a stunning confession from inside Pakistan. When confronted, a local boy confirms jihadis are trained here and that terror training was done here. He was referring to Muridke, the Markaz-e-Tayyaba, the Lashkar terror hub that turned into rubble in Operation Sindoor.
तो इन्होंने उन पर इल्ज़ाम लगाया कि ये सारे मिलकर ना हम पर हमला कर रहे हैं। तो उनको पता है यहाँ से ट्रेनिंगें होती हैं, यहाँ से सब कुछ होता है, वो जो मुजाहिद वगैरह तैयार होते हैं, तो उन्होंने इसको निशाना बना के रखा हुआ था। फिर उन्होंने ना बच्चों को छुट्टियाँ दे दी पहले कि कोई पता नहीं किसी टाइम भी वो हमला कर सकते हैं।
You heard that? I would like to play that out again. Viewers, listen to it carefully. He's saying उन्हें पता है यहाँ ट्रेनिंग होती है जिहादियों की. Listen to this.
तो इन्होंने उन पर इल्ज़ाम लगाया कि ये सारे मिलकर ना हम पर हमला कर रहे हैं। तो उनको पता है यहाँ से ट्रेनिंगें होती हैं, यहाँ से सब कुछ होता है, वो जो मुजाहिद वगैरह तैयार होते हैं, तो उन्होंने इसको निशाना बना के रखा हुआ था। फिर उन्होंने ना बच्चों को छुट्टियाँ दे दी पहले कि कोई पता नहीं किसी टाइम भी वो हमला कर सकते हैं।
उनको पता था यहाँ पे अटैक करेंगे क्योंकि उनको पता है कि यहाँ पर मुजाहिदों की ट्रेनिंग होती है। This is a young boy who's got an injury in his hand. He is talking to a local media person there and this is what he's saying. Markaz-e-Tayyaba, Muridke, that was struck by Bharat's missile strike under the radar for terrorist activities. It's the alma mater of the Lashkar. Arms and training facility, radicalization and indoctrination acts are conducted. Osama financed 10 million for this place. They are spread over 100 acres. 2611 attacker Ajmal Amir Kasab got intel training here. 2611 plotters David Coleman Heddy, Tahavur Rana visited this facility. Siddhant Mishra now joins us. He is the one who's accessed this footage. This boy is so nonchalantly saying उन्हें पता है यहाँ स्ट्राइक करेंगे. इनको भी पता था वो स्ट्राइक करेंगे क्योंकि उन्हें पता है कि यहाँ पर मुजाहिदों को ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है, इसीलिए बच्चों को उस दिन छुट्टी दे दी थी.
Correct, Anand. And there is a reason that we are doing story on this video, Anand, because what Pakistan is doing, or perhaps have been doing from a very long time, that they take international press, international journalists to these sites, and when they take them, they show that look, it is just a religious site, there is no terror camp going on, etc., etc. They try to cover up the reality of these markers, situated in POJK and POK. So this is the first-hand confession, Anand. He is a local journalist. Perhaps he is taking some vox pops of the local boys. Perhaps what do they know about Markaz Taiba, and is it just a Markaz religious place, or it has some other significance as well? And perhaps this boy is confessing that mujahids and jihadists are trained here. Perhaps this is the first-hand confession, Anand, and this boy is not affiliated to any ideology, or perhaps he was told to say this. It is a very organic vox pop which this local journalist, perhaps we really don't know who this journalist is, but this local journalist is speaking to the boys, group of boys, and perhaps only wanted to know more about Markaz Taiba, since India has struck down this particular target. So why India has chosen this particular site? What was the reason? So replying to this journalist, this boy very innocently went on to confess that mujahids and jihadists are trained here. Now this is a testimony, perhaps, which again exposes Pakistan, and this video is also for international journalists. Perhaps they keep on writing that the sites hit by India were the religious sites. Even Anand, the other day Foreign Secretary was also asked in the briefing that did you hit mosques, whether the religious sites were targeted. Perhaps that was asked to the Foreign Secretary on the basis of the reports which were filed by foreign journalists and foreign
for the
media.
Pakistanis
so
are masters.
For the sake of our viewers.
Yeah, what they do is they turn Markaz, which is a center, and it may have a mosque, so they turn Markaz into a mosque and say Markaz is equal to mosque. Markaz is a center, so that's because it's a center for training, it's a center, and it may have a place for prayer, and that place which is inside the center for prayer may be a mosque if it is, that's how. So it doesn't become, the whole place doesn't become a mosque. Mosque or otherwise, a jihadi is a jihadi. Correct. How does that change? And he is himself saying कि यहाँ पर मुजाहिदों को ट्रेन करते हैं. Well, thanks for that, Siddhant. Thanks for that. Let's just go back to our guests. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, Tilak Devashar ji, and Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon. अभी और कितना प्रूफ दें सर, और कौन सा डॉसियर दें? खुद वहाँ खड़े होकर बोल रहे हैं यहाँ मुजाहिदों को ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है. एम्बेसडर राजीव डोगरा.
Well, a couple of points, Anand. Let me start by saying that we need to be patient because there are some voices already coming up from informed circles within India that why aren't we retaliating, why aren't we doing much more than Pakistanis are doing to us. I think I would draw and urge everyone to remember two things. Number one, Foreign Secretary's briefing on the first day itself, where he said we will not give any operational details, and that we are going to stick to bare facts and also be correct in our information, so that there is no finger pointing, as has never happened with India. The second is that the end point is going to be the Prime Minister's speech at Madhubani. He had made the objective very clear. So let's be patient. I'll urge your viewers and our countrymen to be patient and wait, because a lot may be happening that we are not aware of. The second thing is Pakistan's desperation. You've listed chapter and verse about what they have done, and General Dhillon and Tilak have also pointed it out. The fact is that they are playing a very dangerous game, allowing a civilian flight when drones and missiles are flying all over the place to go from one end of Pakistan to the other end means playing with fire and playing with death, and they would have blamed it conveniently on India. So imagine the international outcry that India had shot down a civilian flight, knowing very well that there was a civilian flight going. So Pakistan is devious, uncaring for human life, and dangerous as an enemy. The third part is what you and other panelists have already elaborated upon. It shocks me that anyone in the senses could really try and attack Golden Temple with the idea of blaming it again on Indian forces. How low can a country get? So the entire thing goes back to General Munir's first statement to non-resident Pakistanis about Hindus. So Pakistani army, Pakistani ISI is following that script, just as the terrorists followed that script on 22nd April in Pahalgam. So I think we have to be very careful, but I am very confident that this time our forces are determined and our Prime Minister has laid down an objective which he seems to be determined to fulfill. And let's give India a chance.
We've got more news coming through closer home now. Those are the people, locals in Muridke, accepting that Mujahids are trained at Markaz Taiba. But closer home, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has met a group of armed forces veterans. And this happened just a short while ago. He's currently meeting with the Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh. He met the Tri-Services Chief before that. But before that, he's also met armed service veterans that include Air Force Chiefs, Army Chiefs, Navy Chiefs and other veterans who have extensively served the country. Let's go across to Aman to try and understand more. Aman, when did this meeting happen? Those are pictures there. This is a meeting of these are reference visuals. Yes, Aman, when did this meeting happen and how long did it last?
See, Anand, what we are told, it was an extensive meeting earlier today where the Prime Minister has met the various chiefs of the forces, the veterans who have served as the chiefs of the Air Force, the Army and the Navy, as well as some other veterans. He has discussed at length various contours of the present situation with Pakistan, because these are the veterans who have a battle-hardened experience, who have a first-hand experience of how to handle Pakistan. So the Prime Minister also wants a very, very detailed consensus from various people sharing their experiences, what India should do next, because the kind of attacks, especially that we have seen last night, these 200 to 300 drones coming into Indian territory, though none of them could hit the target and our air defense system could shoot them down. But this is also a new warfare, and the Prime Minister trying to discuss it with all the veterans and the former chiefs, and I think this is a part of that exercise. We saw in the earlier also today the territorial army also being told that they can also be inducted. So I think this is all a larger consensus exercise by the Prime Minister to get the experience of various people on board before India takes its next steps.
True, and then there are also a set of veterans who have said that they are willing to come back and offer their services in the service of the nation when Bharat is in a state of war against terror, and there is a nation that is ready to give state and military backing to terror and terrorists on their soil. Thank you for your inputs, Aman. Let's just take this across to General KJS Dhillon. Your thoughts on the Prime Minister meeting the former service chiefs, and perhaps the contours of this conversation, sir.
Anand, it's a very good step, and I won't say more than that because I was one of the veterans who attended this meeting.
I know that, sir. That is why I didn't directly ask you. I just wanted to understand. I wanted to understand from you what was the intent. If you could broadly share with our viewers, without going into the nitty-gritties of it. Yes, sir.
The group of veterans who met the Prime Minister, since I knew most of them, it was a very small group, very cohesive group of about 17 veterans. And I was calculating, combined together, they had more than 650 years of military experience.
Wow.
So Prime Minister was trying to encash on that material experience, as also trying to get the feedback based on various timelines in the past. So that, history repeats itself, and veterans gave some very wonderful ideas. The Prime Minister shared some very thoughtful things. Though I will speak only this much, unless Prime Minister's office releases some details. It was a very fruitful meeting, and I think probably first time in the history of India or independent India, such a thing has happened.
General
Prime Minister was very patient.
How long did this last, sir?
Prime Minister was very patient. He listened to everyone. There were multiple times also some veterans spoke, and he listened to everyone very patiently. It lasted, I think, more than about an hour and a half or maybe more. So, and just about 17 veterans. So it was something which I felt very good, because if your inputs are being taken and because of experience is being shared right at the top, it was something which was extraordinary. And he was so alive to the whole thing. Everything was listening very patiently. The staff was making notes. And I think, and Prime Minister also complimented everyone for very positive inputs. And I think I can say only this much.
Well, thank you for that. I'm going to request our team to list out what you just gave us a gist of. So, Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, who's part of the broadcast right now, confirming that he was part of this close group of people. So there are a few points that he's listed out, and General Saab, you please correct me if I'm wrong. It was a close group of 17 veterans that included former service chiefs and others who have done phenomenal service to the country. The meeting lasted about 90 minutes, and the Prime Minister giving a patient listen to everybody. The intent was to understand the history, the past, in terms of the engagement with this current entity with whom we are in a face-off with, and perhaps suggestions. And you're saying that the Prime Minister listened to everyone very, very carefully. Thank you for sharing that with us. And beyond that, I'm not going to press you for anything. The only thing I want to ask you one more question is, what is the overall understanding in your wisdom, not what happened there, but in your wisdom, is this going to be a long drawn out affair, or are the Pakistanis going to blink? Is General Munir going to perhaps be ousted? What is your reading of how this is playing out, sir? A lot of viewers would also want to understand this.
No, this is not connected to the previous comment or the Prime Minister's meeting with the veterans. This is a separate question and a separate answer. As a military man, my reading is we are at that stage of conflict where next 2 nights are very crucial. The next 2 nights are very crucial, either for escalation point of view or from stabilization point of view. So we have to wait and watch for the next 2 nights, especially the Pakistan's action. And the Pakistan's actions will be driven by their internal turmoil. The turmoil within the army, turmoil within the society, and the politicians not having much say in the say of things, in the doing of things. So my understanding is next 2 nights Pakistan's actions one has to watch very carefully. Even today morning, there have been air raid alerts in places like Chandigarh and all, Ambala. So let's see what mischief this enemy is up to. And I would like to comment only after 48 hours, because it will be too premature to comment on an enemy like Pakistan who doesn't think through things.
Tilak ji, You agree with the assessment?
Yes, I just like to make 2 points.
Ji.
One, excellent initiative to meet with people with a combined experience of over 600 years.
650
in
years,
dealing,
that's what he said. The
Yeah.
17
I
veterans.
would like to.
Yeah, sorry.
I would like to expand this if there is some system in government to even people from the diplomatic corps, from the foreign service, who have dealt with Pakistan, people from the intelligence community, who have dealt with Pakistan all their lives, and they could also provide very useful inputs at this stage on how to deal with an enemy like Pakistan.
We have
That's
2
one.
of them sitting on the panel tonight.
Yeah, so exactly. The other thing I want to say is, see, the government statement has been restrained, targeted only terror camps, avoided civilians, avoided the military installations. The questions I would like to ask and put on the table, we all agree that the head of the snake is the Pakistan army. You can kill 200, 300, 500 terrorists. It's not going to make a difference because the incubator, the facilitator, the creator is the Pakistan army. So strategically, are we aiming in the right direction? Are we shooting in the right direction? If you don't tackle the source of where terrorism is coming from, you can achieve whatever you want this time. 2-3 years later, there will be another army chief who will want to burnish his credentials, will do the same thing. What then? So this is, I don't have answers, and I'm sure the government has better minds who are answering this question. But as a citizen now, ordinary citizen, I want to put this on the table that are we doing the right thing by not hitting out at certain locations of the army? I know there are consequences. I know the reactions, what will be. But if we want to hurt every 2-3 years by terrorist action and by our innocent people being killed and their blood being spilled, just by going only after the terror factories, are we doing the right thing?
All right. Well, no, you make a very fair point. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, your perspective. We've got more news. I'll go to General Dhillon with the developments after your comment. Ji, sir.
Well, couple of things. Number one, it's a fight that General Munir has initiated, and at the moment, in Pakistani public perception, I think he has been humiliated. He has been humiliated when we targeted those 9 terror camps, and our drones and missiles went through unchecked. So he has to do something dramatic, which he hasn't been able to do so far. And that is why the desperation shows, as you pointed out, on possible attack on Golden Temple and so on. My fear is that the terror is still not ruled out as an option by Pakistan. It could be that there is another terror attack somewhere, not just in Jammu and Kashmir, but it could be in Punjab or anywhere else in India. They have suspected sleeper cells also. So that is point one. The second is, if they are so uncaring about lives in an aircraft flying through their territory, what else can they do? And they have tried everything. The international community has virtually boycotted them, not believed their version of what is happening. Within Pakistan, there are voices being raised. So what should we do in anticipation as a short-term and long-term measure? I think the answer to both is that please stick with Indus Waters suspension. That is going to hurt Pakistan, its economy and its people, and they will rise up against the army. They will start asking questions that it was because of you that this is happening, we are starving, we are in a famine situation. So that is the long-term solution. Yes, of course, as the nation anticipates that there will be a hard hit against the Pakistan army at some stage.
Okay, we've just got more news coming through. Pak Army has resorted to unprovoked ceasefire violation in Digwar, Karmada sectors of Punch. Heavy firing is currently underway. Indian Army is retaliating very, very effectively. Jammu and Kashmir district Kupwara artillery shells are sounding again in the Karna sector. General Dhillon, you know that terrain very well. So let me ask you this. Earlier in the day we had inputs that perhaps Pakistan is desperately trying to push infiltrators and that's why the guns are blazing there. Is that true? Is that perhaps the reason why? Or is there another aspect to why these regions, Digwar, Karna, Karmada, Punch and these areas, Uri?
See, these are the areas which are infiltration prone because the LC is very thickly vegetated. And there are a lot of uneven grounds. And Pakistan, terrorists are Pakistan's force multiplier even during a conventional war. The 2.5 front which General Rawat used to refer to. So Pakistan is probably now trying to push in this terrorist because he probably wants to, engage the Indian Army on the logistics lines of communication. And we had a information where BSF had intercepted an infantry column. So this is the tactics. And the point which was made earlier by the co-panelist, I will make a statement and then I will amplify it. Intentions can change overnight. Capabilities take decades to build. So India should concentrate on decimating the capabilities of war fighting of Pakistan. Because if we do not decimate his air defense, we do not decimate his missile system or do not decimate his military assets, like co-panelists were saying, tomorrow there will be another Hafiz site, tomorrow there will be another Masood Azhar, the names will change, tomorrow there will be another Asim Munir. But another Asim Munir, another Hafiz site will be not able to do anything if Pakistan will be exposed and naked without the military capabilities. And they would know when India hits back, they will not have anything to protect their military and other assets. So, I'll repeat it, capabilities take decades to build, intentions can change overnight. Today, he will walk out of this situation by saying, okay, no, I will not do it again. But if his military hardware is intact, he will do it again with the names changed in a different time frame from today after 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. So, if his military capability is decimated, then he will think twice. And let me inform the viewers, today's military hardware is not cheap. It's very, very expensive and Pakistan's economy of single-digit billion reserves of foreign exchange cannot afford to rebuild that capability.
Sir, अभी वो Saudi deputy foreign minister गए हैं वहाँ. If he says कि हमारे $9 billion तुम वापस दे दो, don't touch it. फिर तो गिर जाएगी वो पूरी तो वही गिर जाएंगे पूरा. Because they can't even touch it. वो तो गारंटी है कि किसी तरह से वहाँ रखा हुआ है. But if the Saudis से ये पैसे वापस दे दो, इनका तो बैंड बज गया वहीं. They can't do anything. But there's more. Since you talked about ammunition capability and how much they have in terms of ability, CNN News 18's mega exclusive. Now linking directly here, Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us these details. Pakistan has actually sold ammunition to Ukraine and or Russia earlier, and this is true. And it is currently facing ammunition shortage. बंदूक है गोली नहीं, tank hai gola nahi. That's the thing. Gun hai gola nahi. That's their problem. This shortage will hinder its ability to sustain a prolonged war. In 2022 and 23, Pakistan had indirectly supplied artillery shells to Ukraine via third parties, US and the Eastern European states. These claims from Pakistan's large stockpiles of Soviet caliber ammunition was compatible with Ukrainian systems. Later, Pakistan claimed that it has a history of arms exports. Now, later reports came that Pakistan's deepening ties with China, which is a key Russia partner, and its reliance on Russian energy imports forced Pakistan to also send them some of this ammunition, that is to the Russians. Top defense sources say Pakistan has a sizable domestic defense industry producing small arms, artillery shells and tanks, but its capacity is limited compared to global powers like China, India or the US. Pakistan has economic instability like debt crisis, inflation that is going to strain its ability to modernize or stockpile advanced systems. Pak can sustain limited artillery war with Bharat for some time and across a range of 500 to 600 kilometers. So that is on the LC and perhaps a little bit on the border. But it will be difficult for it to hold on to the entire full border length. They can't do it. Pakistan relies on China for high-tech weaponry, JF-17 jets, missiles and Turkey for drones. Sanctions, risks like FATF grey listing, and budget constraints limit its access to Western systems. Now, while Pakistan's military is battle-hardened, because of insurgency operations, etc., and prolonged conventional war with Bharat, is going to actually strain its resources. They can't last that long. That's their problem. Pak economy, already dependent on IMF bailouts, lacks the industrial depth to sustain a high-intensity conflict. Pak military can only sustain limited skirmishes like LOC exchanges due to stockpiles and Chinese support, but a full-scale war would quickly deplete its resources. Many believe 4 से 6 दिन of intense warfare, उससे ज़्यादा वो नहीं कर सकते. Right, wrong, General Dhillon. Harsh Shingla ji is joining us. He seems to be on the move. Harsh Shingla ji, good evening. Just getting a quick comment from General Dhillon on an input on Pakistan's ammunition ability. And then I'll come to you, sir, on the diplomatic offensive. Sure. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra is also with us. Yes, General Dhillon.
Anand, this whole thing which you just narrated and explained so nicely is called war fighting stamina of a country.
Ji.
When two countries are face to face, and then this war fighting stamina is compared vis-a-vis the other country. In our case, our war fighting stamina is much, much higher than the Pakistanis for 2-3 reasons. One is we are a mightier military, we are bigger economic power, and we have the military industrial base which is domestic much better than Pakistanis. As also our relations with our suppliers are much better than with Pakistan. We have multiple countries who can supply to us, and we have the money even to buy it during the conflict. Whereas Pakistan's supplies are limited to Turkey and China, and it does not have the money to buy those things which are very expensive when the hostilities are going on. For war fighting stamina, I agree with you.